Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the True Crime Cafe. It is Wednesday, March 12th. Moving right along, guys. Welcome back to Coffee and a Cold Case, another edition of this. Today, we're covering the mysterious disappearance of Miss Rebecca Coriam and the murder of Robert Wone. What happened there? I don't know. You don't know, but we're going to talk about it together and see if we can figure something out with this. Thank you guys again so much for joining us today. We appreciate you so very much. Please make sure to hit the like button. Share this out if you will. And don't forget to click that link there and jump on over to Mama Bear's side of things. Hit the like button. Share that out as well. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you have not done that yet. Again, we appreciate you guys so very much. That being said, you know what comes next, guys. So let's do it. Yo, good morning. Good morning, Mama Bear. Or not. She's playing hide and seek again. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Hope you're having a great day, great morning. Hope you had a great night. It's great to have you here. It's a lot of greats, but you're all great. So,
I know.
can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Now I can. Sound like you were standing in your toilet.
Yeah, I had my mic up instead
Okay.
of down.
So, yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. I see you from all over the place. Whatever it is for you, I hope it's good for you. It's great to be here with you guys. I appreciate you guys joining us. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great.
Good Lord. He's already had a few cups of coffee, apparently.
This is number 5.
Guess I
I've
had a
been
few.
awake. I've been awake for a while. I've been researching.
Mm.
Researching. Yes, doing my research. Trying to find some skirps out. I was talking a little bit to Doodle this morning as well and some other stuff. And so I've been just busy.
Jeez, sounds like it.
And awake.
Mm.
Yes. So, did you have a good night? Sleep well? All that good stuff?
Yep.
Good. Good to hear. Welcome, everybody else. We appreciate you guys joining us today for Coffee and a Cold Case. Crime Mobsters in the house. Mr. Steven, good to see you. My brother Willie. What's going on, Willard? Good to see you, brother. Good to have you here today. Miss Tandy's in the house, still on spring break. Great to have you here all these days. We appreciate it. Mr. Chris, good morning, sir, and thank you for sending me what you've been sending me, sir. I appreciate you so very much. Miss Peggy Bridenball, welcome back to you, my dear. Good to see you today. My brother Mikey and yours, the last 24's in the house. Good to see you, bud. Good to have you here. Don't work too hard today. Miss Lacey, good to see you this morning. Thank you for joining us. Poppy's in the house. Yes. Evelyn, welcome and good morning. Good to see you. Truth Matters, welcome. I love seeing these names that you don't see too often. Newer names, too.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Butterfly Kiss is in the house. Good to see you, dear. Thank you for joining us today. Miss Nancy Drew's in the house today. Thank you for joining us, and good morning to you. Mr. Klein, thank you for joining us, sir, for Missing Black People. The Forgotten, wonderful to have you here, sir. Always a pleasure to see you. We're going to have to start dropping some links here. Let's see here. Again, guys, please make sure to hit the like button. Share this out. And don't forget, to jump on over, click that link that we have here pinned in the chat. Click on Mama Bear's channel and make sure to like that, subscribe, share it out, hit the notification bell, and all them fun things that we're doing to make sure that people go check her out as well. Thank you. All right, let me see something here. I hope you guys heard all that. I know I'm talking fast. I don't mean to be. I'm just a little wired. I'm in a good mood. And it's still sunny here, too, by the way. I love that.
Here too.
Yes, beautiful. All right, guys. Let's start off with this one here for Klein. Missing Black People, the Forgotten. Guys, please. Klein does amazing things for the community. He puts out a lot of stuff that you won't see others putting out, and I really respect and appreciate that from him. And SRBBB's in the house. Uh-oh, she's already got me. Already got me. I tried it, but she got me. She's so quick. Thank you, SRB. There is Klein's link, guys. Again, thank you for that, SRB. Please make sure that you jump on over. I just saw you, SRB. I'm sorry. You're faster than I am, and I'm wired today, so she's good with this. I think she's got these all pre-planned and just ding, 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 you know. So go over, check out Klein's channel, guys. Please, if you will, hit the notification bell, subscribe if you have not yet done that, share it out, and please like all his stuff because he does some great stuff over there. Oh, same with me. I had to run the vacuum this morning twice, actually, because my dog is shedding his winter coat, the dust mop in there, and he likes to roll and rub on the floor, and it's just falling out like clumps.
Yeah, I gotta figure out something with Bean. He's horrible. He's worse than your dust mop.
You think? Yeah, but he's got that thick, poopy hair, doesn't he?
You pet him and your hand comes off looking like another cat.
Yes. Again, thank you, Klein, for joining us. And thank you guys for those of you that are jumping over there to do that. Don't forget also our brother Mike's channel. He's just started it recently. He's doing some great stuff as well. Putting out some great stories. So go over there, hit the like, subscribe, notification bell, and share it out as well. And thank you so much for that, SRB, as well. And Mama's channel link is pinned. That is correct.
Mikey, be careful over there in the tornado area.
Yes, I was going to ask him about that.
And hello, everyone.
Yes, you talk now. I talked enough. I'm sure they're sick of my voice already, and we've only been here 10 minutes. Not even.
Dog hair, I might as well just put the vacuum on my... Right, that's the way it is with my cat. It's ridiculous.
It is. No worries, brother. You know I love you. No thanks needed. Come on in, guys. Grab a seat. We got 11 peeps in here now. Thought there was more than that. Please make sure to hit the like button, share it out, and let's get everybody else in here. Oh, I hate that too. I do. It's like hurry up and wait. You got to hurry up and be there at a certain time, and then they make you sit and wait for them.
Just imagine how bad it would be if you didn't have cell phones now to keep you busy.
Just sit and stare at each other, and then you start up conversations with people you would never talk to on a normal basis, just because they're there. I've done that before, and then I leave after having that conversation. I'm like, why did I do that? That person was strange. I wasn't comfortable with that, but I did it anyway just because I'm that bored. I do that a lot. I've done that a lot. But cell phones do help, especially if you have games in your phone. I'm addicted to that. I have to take breaks because I'll get completely wrapped up in it and ignore everything around me. That bubble pop game, you ever seen those?
Oh, that like where you
line
knock
up
out the colors or whatever.
Yeah. They put little bubbles up and you line it up and then shoot it and you have to break it all down. Yes, I'm addicted to those bad. I tried that once, Peggy. When I went to the first doctor I used to go to, where my pain management doctor back in the day, I could probably read a book there because I'd be there 4, 5, 6 hours sometimes. But now, no, because I would be afraid or irritated actually, because I'd start reading the book and then the doctor would call me and then I'd be pissed because I want to read the book and not go to the doctor. So It's just not worth it. I'll just play with my phone. Mystic Butterfly, welcome to you. The dog hair, I might as well put the vacuum on my hip. You know, they have ways to do that now. They have the little tiny ones you can carry around. You can put a belt around it, strap it, and just walk around with it on you all day. They keep it cold in the on-call. They keep it cold in all doctors' offices, I think.
Yeah.
Always cold in there. Always. Come on in, guys. Grab a seat, please, and thank him. Wait just a few minutes to see who else we get in here before we get things moving, so we don't have to start things over. First and foremost, of course, we have some sad news we're going to talk about, and then some missing posters I want to show, and then we will dive right in, head first, into Rebecca Coriam's case, and hopefully we'll have time, and we'll roll into Robert Wone's. They're both very strange. Again, Rebecca Coriam's case is another one that went missing on a cruise ship. This time, though, Rebecca worked for the cruise company. It was a Disney cruise line. Just to give you a little sneak peek.
I think I remember this one.
Yeah, she was from the UK. She worked there. Disney's guilty of some things they shouldn't have done that threw up some red flags as I was looking into this. Oh, okay. Sounds good. Thank you. And Miss Stormy, good morning and welcome. They hid some stuff and you shouldn't do that. But it was found out that they did. There was some CCTV video that they altered. So definite red flags there.
Mm-hmm.
In Robert Wone's case was a blatant murder. There's no two ways about it. It was heard in the household that he was in, and there were some cover-ups there, I believe, too. Very interesting on both cases. So I'm glad you guys are here for it, and I hope you're here for it.
I don't know. I've been on a cruise. When I was younger, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I was also in my 20s, so
yeah.
You know,
my wife,
the drinking, the dance clubs, the partying and everything was a blast. Now, I don't know. My husband would never. He's like you. He would never go on a cruise because he would go absolutely insane.
Well, you're stuck there.
Yeah.
No.
There's nothing to do. I'm like,
yeah.
There's
if you're not,
you can go to. No. There's no way.
And you're stuck there. Don't forget, I keep saying that you're stuck out there until you are not stuck out there. Mm-hmm. I can't handle being stuck anywhere, guys. I can't even have somebody sit on my legs on the couch or something because I flip out. So no. Nope. Not gonna happen. My wife, and of course, she has a huge fear of the ocean and everything that's under the ocean. She said that's why we're not supposed to be in the ocean, because them things down there, they belong there. We don't. I said, okay. That's why they got lights on them and all sorts of weird things.
And I'm the one that has the huge fear of drowning. That's one of my biggest fears.
So does my wife.
I don't know. I really liked it.
I mean, I don't know.
Now though,
as a kid, yeah, because it's an adventure. It's exciting. It's wild. It's different. But now, when you know the things that we know at our age, that excitement's all gone. Welcome, Miss Nina. Thank you for joining us today. Appreciate you. Yeah, middle of the ocean. That's what I'm saying. You're trapped out there. No, and they're not just gonna say the way to get off that boat when you're out in the middle of the ocean is to get into something that flies, which I don't do either. So no, I'm not doing it.
Well, they got the little dinghies.
So you're going to go from a gigantic, huge, monstrous-sized boat into that little thing, and hell no. It's easier. I'll walk onto the boat and look at it while it's ported somewhere, and then I'll walk right back off. That's all I'm going to do on them cruise lines. Sorry, because they do look really cool on the inside of them, but I don't mind going on a boat on a lake because I know that I can get off that lake, or I could swim through that lake. Something that big.
See, I don't know why, but the bigger, I feel more secure.
Well, yeah, of course. That's because it's bigger and there's more under you than like in the little ones. Oh, Hell no, Sherry. Nope. When I was in high school, I had a recruiter talk to me about joining the Navy. And I have a friend that did. And he ended up being a sub tech, which, he did submarine stuff. No, 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 no. They put you in them subs and then they go under and they stay under for 6 months at a time sometimes. I'm like, no. And you're really trapped under there. I am so claustrophobic. There's no way in hell. No, I'd be claustrophobic. I'd probably have a panic attack going to the bathroom on one of them things because it's so tiny. God bless your father, because my buddy, he even said it was okay because he's not claustrophobic, but it was okay like the first couple weeks, and they didn't come up. Okay, they stayed under. He didn't stay under for 6 months, but I think they stayed under for 2 or 3 months nonstop. Okay, and they just traveled. And he said once it got to be about a month, he started having like anxiety issues. He said you can look up, you can see above the water, but you don't go up there. There's no sun, there's no nothing. All you see is underwater. And he said he did his tour, whatever you call that, and he was done. He was done. No, 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 no. The sub stuff scares me. It just freaks me out because you're under all that compression, under all that water. What if something goes wrong or you spring a leak? No. Way too much anxiety. And my claustrophobia is too much because those guys are all like cramped into these little kind of bunk bed type things. And no. Yeah, see, 8 out of 12 months nope. No. Like I said, there's something for everybody. That's just not for me.
Yeah.
Good morning, Miss Jackie. Thank you for joining us. Rowena, great to see you. Of course, Wisdom speaks in the house. I hope you're feeling good today, Miss Wisdom. Of course, Miss Nina, again, welcome. Great to see you. It's been a little while. Great to have you here.
And the last cruise ship to sink was back in 2012. So it's been a minute.
That's another thing, too.
And it was in Italy. It's the Italians' fault.
That was the one that went over on its side and went over. Is that? I think that's the one.
I guess it was a partial sink after striking rocks off the coast of. I'm gonna say it wrong. Giglio Island, Italy.
It's Giglio Island. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, said it right. Woohoo!
Yep, I remember seeing that on the news, and it was close to shore though, which was okay, but still, no. I watched Titanic too many times. That's another reason why I won't get on a boat. Watching that thing, sorry. Because then when you're out there, them little dinghy boats, granted they'll keep you above water, but they're not going to protect you if something wants to eat you. And I'll tell you what, when I lived down in Florida for that short period of time, I went out on a few like big fishing boats. And the first time I ever saw a tuna, it was a tuna, folks, not even a shark or anything. I about pooped in my pants. It was huge. It was the size of a small car. And I'm thinking to myself, if a tuna fish can get that big, what the hell else out here? And then I saw a couple whales. Those are big. No, we're not supposed to be out there. We're supposed to be here. I'm good with that. So them aminals or aminals. Yes. Okay. Animals are a little too big for me. Way too big. Oh, now I love the lobster boating. It's fun. Never done that. Hey, Doodle. Good morning, dear. Good to see you today. Thank you for joining us. Shrimping. I could do shrimping because we did that on a canal that ran off. I think Indian River that ran off of the ocean. It was like an inlet, and that was okay. Except for the mosquitoes. The mosquitoes about half killed you, but you know. Other than that, everything was good.
My brother-in-law and his wife went on a Amazon trip down the Nile. Is that what it is? The Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. said they will never do that again. It was fun and it was adventurous, but it's not a trip you want to do more than once.
Well, we're talking about the mosquitoes down in Florida off the Indian River. I'm imagining that the
What made me
mosquitoes,
think of it.
yeah, the mosquitoes down there are probably the size of small babies. So I'm good. I'm good. No way. Plus the other things and the snakes and
Yeah.
that's where the big snakes live. I held a baby, not really a baby. It was it wasn't an adult anaconda one time at like this play, like zoo type place. And y'all, I was holding this thing like this. Okay, that's how big this thing was. So
Yeah.
a full sized one, and that lives down there. Hey, no, good. I'm good. Absolutely, absolutely, Miss Peggy. I understand that completely. One of our cats was laying on a box, but wouldn't allow the other cat on it. I said, "Come on, Rose. There's enough room for both of you." They don't like to share their boxes. My cat will flip out on anything that comes around his little box. We have to leave it out there. If we move it, he starts meowing, but he's got to have his box to get in and sit there and stare at you like you can't see him. It's kind of cute. Hey, Mark. When I was a little boy, I saw the movie. My wife was the same way, but she loves the movie. She wants to watch the movie all the time. She could watch it every day, but she's petrified of sharks. But when Shark Week comes around, she wants to watch all that too, but she's petrified of sharks. Figure that one out. Oh, be careful now, guys. Don't be hurting each other in here. Doodle's strong, but we don't need no hospital visits today. Yes. Florida's heaters are 100%. Yes, they were. And my aunt, before me and my uncle went, the first time I went shrimping with him, we went out overnight, like because I guess that's when they're better. And she used to sell, I think it was Avon or something. She gave me this bottle of Skin So Soft. Is that what it's called? And it's supposed to repel mosquitoes. So I sprayed myself a few times before we started. Got on the boat. Now, mind you, when you go shrimping, you have to drop lights in the water to attract the shrimp. Well, what else is attracted to light?
Mosquitoes.
And water. So
Flies.
we got these lights dropped, and when they're not dropped, they're sitting up here on the thing. So, we didn't turn them off all the time because we were up and down and stuff like that. Yeah, me too now, SRB. But I will leave you be, Tandy. I'm sorry. Welcome and good morning, Sunday. Thank you for joining us. Anywho, we'd drop the lights and then we'd sit for a while, and then you have these nets that go in, and the shrimp run into the net, and then you pull the nets up, and that's how you catch them. So I sprayed myself before we got on the boat. We're there for about an hour, 45 minutes. I sprayed again. Then I sprayed again, and then again, because I'm getting bit left and right. By the time I was done next morning, I looked like I had chicken pox. It was that bad. I mean, I had them everywhere. My uncle, they didn't bite him at all. He said it's because his skin was old and it was too tough. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But yeah, by the end of the night, there was probably this much, or the bottle was about that big. There was probably that much left in it when I was done. And I just kept spraying. I was about to take a bath in the shit. So thank you, SRB. Anywhere near up here, there's baby sharks. They eat the fish that are thrown. Oh, yeah. I didn't know that. Also, when we were down there, my uncle caught it was an accident. It's either a marlin or a swordfish. One of those that have that long thing on their face, and it was big as hell too. That freaked me out. So yeah, ocean stuff it's good to eat. I love it. But other than that, and it's kind of fun to catch, some depending on what you catch. We have a lake for a swim in a movie, and oh yeah, we do that here too. My wife has actually done that here for the kids. We use our pool, and then we have a projector, and you can project it onto the side of the garage, or we have a big screen too, and play Jaws while you're in the water in the pool. It's a fun thing to them, I guess. I don't know. Welcome, Don't Dox Me. Thank you for joining us. is make sure that you jump in on Mama Bear's side too. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, notification bell, and all that fun stuff. Her link is pinned in the chat. Thank you so very much. And plus, after my experience the last time I was in Florida is August, and I was standing there. I told this story a few times when either the sting or the manta rays were mating or whatever that's called. And I was standing ankle deep in the ocean water. My buddy was about 100 yards down and he yelled at me. He said, "Don't move." And I looked down and there was thousands of these things swimming around me right up there on shore. And I'm like, yeah, no worries. Finally, the water goes back out and I bolted and I was done. Never went back in after that. I have a problem with any animal or fish that looks at me like, yes, there you go. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Very good point. Okay. All right, guys. We got 33 peeps in the house, guys. Please again make sure to hit the like button here and at Mama Bears. I appreciate that very much. Very sadly, I'm sure we've all seen this, or some of us have. There has been some closure on the Dane Paulson case. Well, we were watching for a while. So we're going to look at that real fast and say a little prayer for this family because they've been through hell and they're going to continue to go through it. This is a very sad situation.
Breaking news.
And that breaking news, a devastating end to a days-long search. Today, a diver discovered the body of 2-year-old Dane Paulson in the Siletz River. Paulson disappeared on March 1st. A diver found the toddler's body about 3 miles downstream from his home.
We are getting a lot of information, as you can well imagine, throughout the afternoon. And here's what we've learned so far. The diver who found Dane tells us he found him about 2.5 miles down the river from the Paulson family home just after 11 o'clock this morning. And deputies identified the diver as Wone Heredia with Angels Recovery Dive Team. And according to the sheriff's office, a local river guide escorted the diver onto the river. He began searching areas of the Siletz River downstream from where the sheriff's office divers had already thoroughly combed. Now, sheriff's office investigators are at the scene. We know the family has been identified. Lincoln County Sheriff Adam Shanks released a statement saying, quote, "Our thoughts are with the family who are facing an unbearable sorrow." He went on to say they're deeply grateful for the support and the dedication shown by the search teams and our communities throughout this difficult time. Now, as the sheriff just mentioned, this tragic update brings closure to the community who has been very involved in the search effort for the past 11 days now. And Shelby Slaughter, who's on the scene, is set to speak with the diver coming up in just a few minutes. She'll bring us that story tonight at 5 o'clock, if not before. We'll have that for you.
Here's more on the timeline. Dane was last seen on the afternoon of March 1st in his yard. The next day, we learned the sheriff's office was searching. The search effort grew over the next several days. On March 4th, the sheriff's office said searchers were focused on the river. On March 8th, this past Saturday, the sheriff's office reported they had covered about 14 miles of the river. Yesterday, they dispelled rumors of a white van being potentially involved. Today, we sadly learned that diver found the boy's body in the river. Returning to our breaking news, today a diver discovered the body of 2-year-old Dane Paulson in the Siletz River. The boy was missing since March 1st. The diver found the toddler's body about 3 miles downstream from his home.
K2 Shelby Slaughter has been covering this story since the beginning. She's live in Siletz now. And Shelby, you're there right now with that diver?
Yes, that's exactly right, Steve. I have the man of the hour, Wone Heredia, who actually found little baby Dane Paulson just a few hours ago. And Wone, you actually drove down where you drove up from Stockton.
That's correct. 12 hours.
What compelled you to do that?
The people start tagging me about this case, and they really opened something myself that is I needed closure to come and help the family. So that's how I do it.
And Wone, we know that you found Dane in a place that was already covered by divers. What compelled you to look there again?
Well, first of all, I got to start where we assume he went in the water, and I don't stop until I found a person. I don't know how many miles. Today I covered 2.5 miles. I don't know where the other divers were searching for, but that's my point to entry, and I covered the whole shore.
Thank you, Juan. And so many people here are grateful for the work that you did. And you can see here he is already wearing a ribbon that represents little baby Dane. The family is having a vigil right now to my right. And we're going to have more with Juan coming up here later this evening. Reporting live in Siletz, I'm Shelby Slaughter, K2 News.
Such a tragic ending out there. Shelby, thank you for that interview tonight and that report. This, of course, is a breaking news story. And stay with K2. Coming up at 5 o'clock.
My heart's broken over this. It has been from the beginning. This is so sad. My heart's broken for the family. I can't even remotely begin to imagine what they've gone through, what they're going through. SRB said that this was his first trip alone without his family, and she's referring to Juan. His wife gave him a kiss, said to find that baby, and he did. And that's amazing. He is truly an angel sent from God for what he did, in my opinion. And that's true too, Doodle. God needed his angel home. It was such a sweet little guy. I hate seeing, you guys know we hate this. It's just so horrible. So horrible. I hope that the life that he lived was absolutely amazing. But like Doodle said, God needed his angel home. He had better plans for him, in my opinion. So no, it's just unimaginable. It really is. But yes, we have to push forward and stay positive and keep on looking for the others that need us to look for them. That's the best way to look at this. And that's true too, Peggy, in my opinion. If that's what happened, like Mama Bear was right, he must have gotten hung up on something, sadly. But it's good that he did, because they may have never found him if not. I was starting to think that he may have made it out to the bay or further. Yesterday we talked about it. It was very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Amen to that one, guys. As I always tell you guys every day, love yourselves and love each other. Please, please, please. Do not, as Doodle says on her things all the time, do not harm, and please, just, there's so much hate and negativity. Let's try to be the opposition to that, guys. It's really the best way to be nowadays. Yeah, 6 feet deep under tree branches.
Yeah, 6 feet. That's a lot more than what I would have thought.
Welcome, Stitches. Good to see you. Either way, like I said, it's good that they're able to give the family some form of closure. It's horrible, but at least they know what happened, and they have him home with them now, and that's the only way to look at it positively. And like, again, God bless this Juan gentleman. Like, who knows, if they would have maybe eventually found him, but seems like he knew what he was doing and where he was headed, and had a one-track mind as I'm going to find this child one way or another. So very much appreciative of him and what he does. Okay. I also wanted to, hold on here, throw some of these up here too, guys. This is one that we've talked about before. I think Arctic and Doodlebug have all talked about her as well. I interviewed, I believe it was her mother, that Doodle set up and made happen one time. Marissa Carmichael, if you guys remember, is very sadly, she's still missing. She was last seen on January 14th of this past year in Greensboro, North Carolina at the Exxon at 809 East Market Street, Greensboro, Gulfport County, North Carolina. She's 25 years old. She had brown eyes, 5'4". She is biracial, 260 pounds, black and blonde braids. There is a $3,500 reward for any information as to the whereabouts of Marissa. According to her family, Marissa went to the gas station after leaving a nightclub. At the Exxon, she called 911 saying that she had been robbed. I don't know where I am in Greensboro. I just got all my stuff thrown out of the car. He took off with my phone, and I have no clue where I'm at, Marissa told the dispatchers in the 911 call. She has a heart tattoo on her face and a butterfly near her eye. Miss Carmichael was last seen wearing a white Tweety Bird t-shirt, blue jeans, and yellow sneakers. If anybody has any information whatsoever as to Marissa's whereabouts or any information about her whatsoever, please contact Greensboro or Guilford Crime Stoppers 336-373-1000 or just dial 911 and let them know what you know. Thank you, guys. Let's see here. Also, we have Aaliyah Leona Johnson. She's 16, female, brown eyes and long black straight hair, 5'6" and 135 pounds. Her alias is Cory Suki. She was enrolled in the Kickapoo tribe of Oklahoma, and there are no further details provided this time. She's missing from Tecumseh, Oklahoma, and has been missing since February 6th of 2025. If you have any information in regards to Aaliyah, please contact, the Tecumseh Police Department. Ask for Detective Snow at 405-598-2115. Case number is 2502060102J. The nameless case number is MP139740. Please, if you have any information, please contact that number there with Tecumseh or just dial 911 and let them know what you know. Thank you. Next, we also have Rita Janelle Papaki, 41 years old. When she went missing, brown eyes, brown hair, 5'4", 145 to 175 pounds. She was last seen leaving the Meskwaki Bingo Casino Hotel. There is a $100,000 reward for any information leading to her whereabouts. Rita's missing from Tama, Iowa. She went missing in January 16th of 2015. If you have any information about Rita, please contact the I'm probably going to say this wrong. I'm sorry if I do. Meskwaki Nation Police, Tama County Dispatch at 641-484-3760, or Monday, 8 a.m., 4:30 p. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30. You can call 641-484-4844. Case number is 1500-1969. Okay, SRB. Thank you for that. Okay, and again, thank you guys. One moment here. Next up, we have Dolores Sakamoto and Vivian Luna, mother and daughter. Dolores went missing at age 84. She is American Indian. It says as race, female, brown eyes, brown hair, 49 years old and 120 pounds. Vivian, the daughter, was 64 years old at the time of her went missing. Again, American Indian, female, brown eyes, brown hair, 4'10", 110 pounds. They went missing in a vehicle, which is a 1996 Lexus ES300, license plate number California plate 6K SP061. There's a $10,000 reward for these two. Missing from Chico, California since July 21st of 2024. If you have any information about Dolores and Vivian, please contact the Butte County Sheriff's Office at 530-538-7322, or call your local police with any information you have. Thank you. Thank you. Don't dox me. Again, next up, we have, Elena Stacy, 17 years old, female, brown eyes, black hair, 5'6", 160 pounds, last seen leaving her group home. Elena is missing from Phoenix, Arizona since February 8th of this year. If you have any information about Elena, please contact the Salt River Police Department at 480-850-9230 or call your local police with any information. Again, thank you. Okay, also, oops, sorry. Debbie Sue Nicktoon, 59 years old when she went missing. Female, black eyes, graying black hair, 5 foot tall, 180 pounds. Last seen wearing a black jacket, green shirt, and loose fitting jeans. Debbie was last seen at her residence in the North Ward apartment building on the 3rd Avenue, missing from Fairbanks, Alaska. Missing since August 19th of 2020. If you have any information about Debbie, please contact Fairbanks Police Department at 907-450-6500. Excuse me, case number 20-003030. Or your local police, of course, with any information you may have. It is a very long time for some of these. Yes, agreed. All right, next we have Ivy Romo, 17 years old when she went missing. Female, Native American, brown eyes, brown hair, 5'6", 180 pounds. Last seen in the area of the Dobson Road and University Road. She may possibly be heading to the Salt River Indian Reservation to meet up with friends or family. She went missing from Mesa, Arizona. Missing since February 17th of this year at 12 p.m. If you have any information about Ivy, please contact the City of Mesa Police Department at 480-644-2211 or contact your local PD with any information you may have. Okay. This one I'm going to run again. We've run this one a few times, but we'll continue to do it until something comes out of it. Katie Ferguson, last seen on October 5th of 2023 in Truman, Arkansas, 5'9", 150 pounds, 180 pounds, one between there, I'm sorry. Brown hair, blue eyes. Katie disappeared while on a cross-country trip from Alabama to Wyoming with her boyfriend, Adam Aviles. I know you guys remember this case. Their 2 small children and boxer dogs. She was last seen on police body camera footage on October 5th in Truman, Arkansas. Days later, on October 9th at 5:55, Aviles was stopped in Morris County, Texas by a trooper for driving on the wrong side of the road and on an improved shoulder. He was cited for a child safety seat violation. Court documents state that investigators reviewed the body cam footage from the Texas traffic stop, and that Katie was not in the vehicle, and they noticed a taped over bullet hole in the passenger side door on November 4th of 2023. Avila's vehicle, a 1999 black Dodge Durango, was found abandoned near Cody, Wyoming, with signs of foul play. Investigators stated that the front passenger seat was missing. A Glock pistol magazine was found, and the vehicle had the smell of putrid blood and had a projectile hole in the inside and outside of the front passenger door. Katie is known to dye her hair and could have brown or blonde hair at this point. Anyone with any information about Katie, please contact the Park County Sheriff's Department at 307-527-8700. Welcome, Cap. Good to see you, brother. Okay, I think we have one more here I'm going to put up for you guys, and that'll do it for today. All right, we have Natasha Shanes, guys, out of Jackson, Michigan. Last seen May 5th of 1985. She was 6 years old when she went missing. 4 foot tall and weighed 57 pounds. Natasha was last seen asleep on the sofa in the living room of her family's home in the 900 block of Maple Avenue in Jackson, Michigan. Her mother awoke in the early morning hours of May 8th, 1985, to the sound of a car door slamming outside. She fell back asleep and woke again at 6 a.m. Natasha's mother discovered that her daughter was missing from their residence at that time. One of the doors to their house was wide open, and there was no trace of Natasha. And she has never been heard from again. It is believed she either wandered away or was abducted between the hours of 1:30 and 6 a.m. Natasha's nicknames are Tasha and Tasha. I think that's how you say that. At the time of her disappearance, her hair was permed. This is a age-progressed photograph of what Tasha could or would look like at this time. If you have any information, please contact the Jackson Police Department at 517-788-4100, case number 85-008151. And thank you guys again for that, for seeing all those. Yes, that is a scary situation for sure. All right, hold on, everybody. Okay. All right. Let me get these things set. Okay, I don't know what just happened there, but hold on a minute. Can you still hear me? Can you hear me, Mom Bear? Welcome, Miss Cassie. Good to see you. I hope you guys can hear me. Captain Jenks, good to see you, my friend. Paula Fitzhenry's in the house. Welcome. Good to have you here today. I appreciate you guys. Mama Bear may have stepped back. It's okay. Yeah, and I've seen that, and it really disgusts me, to be honest with you. Dane's mother went off social media because of the hate. There's some messages that I've read that were sent to me, that were sent to them, and I wish people would stop. Until you have gone through something like this as a parent, who are you? Like, don't do that. Just stop. Unless law enforcement had come out with something stating that they knew that these parents did something or something like that, you don't have the right to do that. You just don't. And I don't know who people think they are, but and law enforcement clearly said that there is no foul play suspected. There's nothing with the parents suspected. So I just, keep them in your prayers, guys. That's horrible. People need to get a life. That's all I can say. They really do. It's disgusting that I see people do this so regularly now. It's immediate. Immediate. It's not our place. If law enforcement comes up down the road and says that they found there was negligence for whatever reason, we can have a conversation then. But until that happens, nobody has the right to do that. Until you've been through this, you have no idea. It highly irritates me. Okay, let's see here. Welcome again, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm in touch with a few family friends, but even they've been saying Dane's mom was heartbroken times two because, of course, as she should be. That's why people need to leave her alone. They need to leave the parents and the family alone. It's disgusting. It really is. And it really, really is heartbreaking to see people do this to other people. Honestly. All right. One moment here. I'm trying to get this to work. Are you still here, Mama Bear? She may have had to step away for a minute, and that's okay. Moonlit Baby, welcome. Good to see you. Good to have you here. Okay. One moment, guys. Exactly. Why would you even show that? You know what I mean? Wisdom. Pe- what does our world come to? People. How can I explain what I'm trying to say here? People seem to get joy out of people's misery nowadays. That's not what we're about. I mean, it makes me sick. It does, literally. It makes me sick to see the joy and the excitability, the entertainment that people get from people's misery and horror that they go through. It's just disgusting to me anymore. It's made me think twice about some of the stuff that we do here. It really has. But I know that why I'm here, and I know why quite a few others are in here, why they do what they do, and that's what keeps me going with this. But it's so horrific how many people we see that get joy and entertainment from people's misery and hell, and they just keep going and going and going and looking for more. It's unbelievable sometimes. So welcome, Donald. Good to see you, brother. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's scary to go grocery shopping with the prices nowadays. I agree with that, brother. Well, if anybody that you're in touch with, Butterfly, you let them know that there's a lot of us out here that are sending our condolences and prayers to the family and the friends of the family and anybody that has been affected by it. Let them know that, please, because we truly do feel for them. Mama Bear should be back here soon, I'm sure. Okay, and again, guys, don't forget Mama Bear's link is pinned in the chat. Please jump on over to her side of things. Hit the notification bell, subscribe if you haven't, like it, and share it out, please, and thank you. And of course, you're welcome to hang out over there as well. Thank you, Butterfly. We appreciate that so very much. And guys, if you could, just because, and you don't have to, of course, as I always say, to keep the family in your thoughts and prayers. But if we could, I would love to see everybody throw some blue hearts in the chat for Dane, in memory and respect of him. If that would be amazing to me, I appreciate it. I see you, Miss Cassie. I think Ghost took Mama Bear for a walk. Probably. I agree. It is, Donald. The world is a mess. It absolutely is. Poor baby. I will cut you. Don't you ever do that to me again. That one got me that time, weirdo.
I'm back.
We're not friends anymore. I'm just kidding. You did scare the hell out of me. I'll say that much.
I know, I was watching.
Here we go, guys. Thank you for that. That's amazing. God bless all of you guys. Absolutely beautiful. I love you guys. This is an amazing community, and I know you guys have no trouble doing stuff like that. So thank you for all of that, every one of you. Okay, now that I got my heart back in rhythm, welcome back, SRB. Good Lord.
I see you.
You're a mess.
Oh, you did, SRB. You did miss it. Just like barely.
Oh, I'm sure you'll clip it and you'll show everyone you do that.
Remember a while back when I used to get him all the time and in the chat, and I'd whisper into the mic, "I see you." Well, I did it perfectly and scared the crap out of him just a minute ago.
I had turned my volume up on my speaker. If I wouldn't have done that, it wouldn't have bugged me so much, but it was super loud but quiet. So it was weird. Very weird.
You're welcome, Docs.
Jesus. You're a mess. Anyway, moving forward, guys, the first case that we're looking into is the Rebecca Coriam case. This is a woman from the UK that worked aboard a Disney cruise line ship and disappeared out of nowhere. I got Kev the other night. Liberty left her dog. baby doll in the living room, and it was propped up. Kev was freaking out because it was looking right at him. I quietly went, "Oh, that is so wrong. So wrong, Cassie. Shame on you. Shame on you."
Daddy.
Yeah, I would have peed on myself. Yeah, and not see because of that right there, Cap, because I was touched one time.
Uh-huh.
When people do things, I don't get scared of that kind of stuff. But I am human, okay? He's such a chicken. Really, Cassie, because I guarantee let me put a clown mask on and let's see how you act. You better leave him alone.
Nope.
Mm-hmm. Chicken. You're chicken too. Deep fried chicken. All right, guys. Again, thank you for joining us for this. This is a very interesting story. Strange, but interestingly enough, and it's still unsolved, which blows my mind. So they have some ideas, but they can't get anything out of it. So, and there's different variations of what may have happened too. I'd be fine. Art the clown. Oh, that's not even he's not a clown, he's a mime. So get that right too, princess. That dude creeps me out. He's so weird. Terrifier. And that's the new most popular like horror film and everything out there. It's so gross though. It's really gory. All right, here we go, guys. Whatever yourself, little one. Let me know how the audio and all that is on this too. And this is like I said, really interesting.
On the left, pictured with her sister. On the left, pictured with her.
I'm going to start with just a news break from Sky News real quick, and then we're going to roll into the story on it.
Sister, this is 24-year-old Rebecca Coriam, a girl from Chester seeing the world, and now lost at sea 5,000 miles from home. She was working on the family cruise ship, the Disney Wonder, as a youth activities coordinator when she vanished 3 days into a week-long trip. The ship set sail from Los Angeles on Sunday, March the 22nd for the Mexican Riviera. The alarm was raised last Tuesday when she failed to turn up for her shift. The following day, the vessel docked in Puerto Vallarta, and the Mexican Navy and US Coast Guard were deployed to search the seas. Despite onboard inspections and alerts to the 3,000 passengers, the ship returned to LA yesterday without Rebecca. Her parents and cousin were there.
Just very, very painful. And the thought of not seeing her again, I don't know. It's frightening to think about it, really.
We just don't know what happened to her, do we? That's the worst.
The ship is registered in the Bahamas, so police there are heading the investigation, which will include scouring CCTV footage. Rebecca's parents are now to fly back to the UK with their daughter's possessions, but as yet, no answers. Tessa Chapman, Sky News.
You'll enjoy it, Paula. It was a really good movie. I watched it here. Donald says an aunt of mine's family was found and pulled from a car in a large pond a few years ago from Kokomo, Indiana. And Mr. Daly, we all just glad the bodies recovered. Her name was Aunt Esther. I'm so sorry, Donald. My condolences, my friend. God bless Aunt Esther. That's horrible. See, everybody goes through these things. It's just horrific, you know? I'm sorry, did you say something?
Just for a second, put yourself in somebody else's shoes.
Yeah.
I mean,
think about that.
Good Lord.
We're so lucky, you know, that we don't want, for those of us that haven't been through this or any of these things, losing somebody or missing or any of that, guys, and think about just one time what that man said just there in that little interview kind of hit me like a bat. And, you know, it's so hard thinking about never seeing them again. You don't think about it, and then when it happens, then you think about it, it's like, oh my God, it's like it's not understandable. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And it is horrible. It's horrible that this can just happen in like that. You know what I mean? It's so horrible and it's so unfair. Let me get back to my downloads and we'll
Right, Donald. You don't want anybody else to feel the pain that you feel.
No, not by any means. And that's why we do what we do, because whether we've been through it or not, you see the pain that people go through. You know that it's a horrible thing, and you don't want anybody else to have to experience that. It's horrible.
Right, Peggy. It doesn't. You don't just deal with it and move on. Yeah, it's not how it works.
No, of course not. No, it sticks with you even after there are. If you get answers, it's still there. It never goes away. You may get minimal closure as to some answers at some, on some occasions, but it's never gone. It's always stuck in your mind. It's not something you just forget about. You know what I mean? It's really horrible. One moment, guys. Okay. Oh, Lord. Hold on a second. Here we go.
As their voyages transport them to exotic places with promises of adventures to last a lifetime. Who wouldn't want to drift along on the ocean and explore the Caribbean or the Mediterranean? Whether you're soaking up the sun or taking selfies with friends or family, there is always a chance that you could find yourself part of a growing statistic. Every year, over 200 people will go missing from cruise ships, and this may not even reflect the true number, as companies don't always report the missing to the FBI. The risk of losing their reputation could result in the loss of millions of dollars. With so much at stake, many of these cases are kept quiet, but there is one case that would not be silenced, and that is the case of missing 24-year-old Rebecca Coriam from Chester, England. Rebecca was one of 950 crew members aboard the Disney Wonder cruise ship and was employed as a youth activities counselor. The 24-year-old beauty from the UK often went by the nicknames Becky or Bex and was thrilled to be given the opportunity to travel to exotic locales. On March 22, 2011, the 965-foot Disney Wonder, carrying over 2,500 passengers, was on its usual route along the Mexican Riviera. At 5:45 a.m., while just off the Pacific coast of Mexico, something would go horribly wrong, and Rebecca Coriam would go missing. To understand what led to her disappearance, we'll begin with the ship's location. The Disney Wonder left the Los Angeles port
Welcome,
on March
Brandy.
21st and began its typical 7-day voyage along the western coast of Mexico. Rebecca's shift was to begin the morning of March 22nd. The last communication to her parents was a message that she posted on Facebook on the 21st, saying that she would phone them on the 22nd. Her contract had just ended and she was due for a 2-month break before a new 4-month stint that would have her working the Vancouver to Alaska route. Rebecca's plan was to return home before Easter Sunday. When Rebecca failed to report for her scheduled shift, the ship was searched multiple times before the Disney Cruise Line officially determined that she was missing. Anne and Mike Coriam started to get an uneasy feeling when they didn't hear from Rebecca as she had promised. The Coriam's heart sank when they were finally contacted at 11 p.m. on March 22nd by a spokeswoman for the cruise line. The woman said she was calling to report that their daughter Rebecca was missing. Shocked, frightened, and fearing the worst, Anne and Mike flew to Los Angeles to attempt to ascertain what had happened to Rebecca. The grief-stricken parents were allowed to board the ship only after passengers had disembarked. They were greeted by Superintendent Paul Roll of the Royal Bahamas Police Force. According to official documents, the Disney Wonder was registered in the Bahamas. This is a common practice to avoid strict labor laws, higher taxes, and safety codes. The Bahamian police force is small by any measure, and Roll was unequipped to deal with a case of this magnitude. By the time he made the 1,500-mile journey to the ship, any evidence was most likely cleared away. Roll himself admitted to only interviewing 6 of 950 crew members and none of the passengers during his one-day visit to the ship. Once the Coriams boarded the ship, they were taken to a room where they met with Disney officials. They were told that the last sighting of their daughter occurred on Deck 5 near the cruise pool area. They were shown grainy footage of a distraught Rebecca placing a phone call to a coworker on the ship's internal line at 5:45 a.m. Let's take a look at the photos of Rebecca as I go over more of the details surrounding the final moments before she vanished. In the first photo, we can barely make out Rebecca placing a phone call to coworker Tracy O'Brien. Rebecca was traumatized and sobbing about a sexual encounter that she had with ship's bartender Devin Hyde and her girlfriend Tracy Medley. O'Brien said she succeeded in calming Rebecca down. She told her to go back to her cabin and get some rest, and that she would discuss the incident with Medley later in the morning. In the second photo, we can see a male co-worker approach Rebecca and ask if she's all right. Rebecca says, "Yeah, fine." Then the man moves on. The third photo shows us a couple of different things. First, Rebecca is clearly not fine. She is holding her hands up to her face as she continues to try to calm herself. The second odd thing is the fact that she is not wearing her own clothes. The clothes she's wearing appear to be men's clothing and are much too large for her. In the fourth and final photo, Rebecca is seen holding on to her clothing in an effort to stop them from falling off. We can assume at this point that she is on her way back to her cabin. Of course, most of what we are seeing is not completely accurate, and the circumstances surrounding each of these events are questionable and continue to remain a part of Rebecca's mysterious disappearance. We'll get into more of these details in a moment. After viewing the grainy footage, the Corium spoke briefly with a few of their daughter's co-workers that really didn't have much to add to the information that they were already given. O'Brien was also at the meeting and appeared to be extremely upset about Rebecca's disappearance. The Coriums got the distinct feeling that Disney officials did not want them to press O'Brien for any further information. It was during this meeting that the ship's captain was given the opportunity to tell the Coriums what he thought happened to Rebecca. He ushered Anne and Mike to Deck 5 and showed them a pair of flip-flops near the pool area. He claimed that the shoes belonged to Rebecca and believed that they were proof that she went to the pool deck instead of returning to her cabin as O'Brien directed. At some point, a rogue wave swept across the ship and carried Rebecca overboard. From there, the Coriums were quickly escorted to Rebecca's as possible. A spokesperson for the Disney Cruise Line released a statement vowing to assist investigators in the first disappearance of its history. They said, "We have been doing everything possible to find Rebecca Coriam. Rebecca's disappearance has been hard for everyone." Finding out the truth about what really happened to Rebecca would be difficult. The Coriams learned very quickly about the complicated lines of jurisdiction. A private investigator for the Coriams, Roy Ram, with assistance of Chester MP Chris Matheson and former Deputy Prime Minister Lord Prescott, was able to unearth some troubling details surrounding the case. We will now take a look at the most up-to-date information on the case that has been sourced from in-depth investigations by the Coriams, along with statements from the ship's crew and those close to Rebecca. We'll start with Rebecca's relationship with Tracy Medley and the events that left her in an almost hysterical state. After a 6-year silence, Medley stated that her relationship with Rebecca was intense and became complicated when Medley began to resume her relationship with past boyfriend Devin Hyde. Rebecca felt that the only way to continue her relationship with Medley was to agree to a threesome with Hyde. Medley stated that Rebecca immediately regretted what had taken place in Hyde's cabin. She said that Rebecca showered and put on Hyde's clothes in a rush to get out of there.
Is the sound gone?
No, it I don't know, paused for
Oh.
a few seconds, but then it picked up, so.
Okay. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Medley said she knew Rebecca was upset and wished she would have went with her when she fled. In other interviews, Medley claimed that the Coriam's description of their daughter as a joyful, high-spirited girl looking forward to a bright future conflicted with a young woman that she knew. She said Rebecca's parents were uncomfortable with her sexuality, and it made her feel like an outcast. That, coupled with the fact that she had been sexually assaulted when she was younger, led to her use of cocaine. Medley believed it was possible that Rebecca may have taken her own life. It's unknown if Medley's statements about Rebecca are accurate because Superintendent Roll never followed up on them. In fact, he never even questioned Medley or did a forensic investigation while on board the Disney Wonder. Rebecca's family denied that she would ever have taken her own life. As proof of their daughter's state of mind, the Corians pointed out that Rebecca was excited about returning home and had planned to surprise her family with passes to Disney Paris upon her return. The passes were found amongst her personal possessions. So if Rebecca did take her own life, where is the footage from the several hundred cameras strategically placed around the ship? Surely there would be more images of Rebecca as she moved from deck to deck. Rebecca's co-workers doubted the Disney's theory that she was swept overboard by a wave. Some of them believe it would be more likely that she accidentally tumbled over a low railing around the jogging track. The crew said Rebecca liked to stay in shape by jogging every day, and perhaps she went to the track to clear her mind. Again, we have to wonder where is the footage of this tragic accident, if in fact it really does exist. Disney has also made some claims that have been disproven. They claim that Rebecca was on Deck 5 near the pool area when she placed a call to O'Brien and was then swept overboard. It was later revealed that the footage of Rebecca was cropped, eliminating its stamp from being viewed, and that Rebecca was actually on Deck 1 when she placed the call. The request for the undoctored footage by the Coriams had been denied by Disney on several occasions, further hampering the investigation. The other claim concerned the flip-flop shown to the Coriams. You can clearly make out in the photo the name of a crew member written on the side, proving that they did not belong to Rebecca. Even though Disney had no corroborating evidence to support their theory that Rebecca had been tragically swept overboard, they moved forward with the placing of memorial flowers near the pool area soon after Rebecca's disappearance. To this day, Disney continues to stand behind their one and only theory about what really happened to Rebecca. For the sake of argument, let's take a closer look at Disney's claim. These photos will help us to understand how a wave could or could not have swept Rebecca overboard. The pool is surrounded by 6-foot steel walls, and reportedly there were cameras mounted around the area. Yet there has never been any published footage of a rogue wave. There has also been no confirmation stating when those cameras were installed. If the cameras were installed after Rebecca's disappearance, this could possibly be a security violation. Another odd detail is that the pool was close to the HR office and the payroll office, which have several surveillance cameras. Once again, we have not been shown any evidence that Rebecca's image was picked up on any of their...
I am going to tell you guys, as I looked into this a little bit deeper, at the beginning they show where she's on a phone call at some point in time, and they said that that was at 5:45 a.m. or something like that. That was tampered with. The timestamp on it said 5:45 a.m. They went back and found this a while later afterwards, and it was actually 2:45 a.m. They said that that was seen on deck 5. That was actually on deck 1. So you tell me why that would change and who would mess with something like that and why that would happen. Hey, Miss Zelda, good to see you. Wonderful to have you here. I hope you're doing okay and not working too hard. Yeah, imagine that. How about that, right? So first and foremost, don't say this isn't a cover-up of some sort, because why would you change that? Come on now. Just saying. Disney is worried about one thing and one thing alone.
Themselves.
Disney. That's all they care about. They're not going to put out anything that's going to make them look bad. You know what I mean? So come on, we know that.
Yep.
Their footage. Now let's take a look at the proximity of the pool to the ship's bridge.
You leaving? Don't dox me? I think. See ya. Is that what you're saying, or did somebody else leaving? I don't know. Either way, if you're leaving, don't dox me. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you. I hope to see you again soon.
Bridge. As you can see, it's in full view. The bridge is manned 24 hours a day by deck officers and seamen.
No, cover your behind. Oh, yeah. I got you.
YA, for your arse.
Yes, I understand completely. Sorry about that. Thank you.
At any given time, you would see at least 2 deck officers and 2 seamen keeping visual and audible lookout. During rough weather, you would expect to see the captain on the bridge as well. For a rogue wave to sweep across the deck and take Rebecca with it, the wave would have to be over 100 feet high, and the ship would have sustained some amount of damage. There has been no documentation of these events shared with the public, and yet Disney continues to support this theory. We also have to take into consideration a statement made by the Coriams concerning the search and rescue of their daughter. To begin with, if the ship's captain believes someone has gone overboard, he will immediately turn the ship around and rescue operations are launched. The Coriams have claimed that Disney disregarded standard operating procedures by staying on course and then failed to give the correct coordinates to the Mexican Navy and U.S. Coast Guard, causing them to search the wrong area. At this point, time is of the essence. If a person falls overboard, they will hit the water at a speed of about 40 miles per hour and have a survival rate of 25%. If you are lucky, the ship's current will not pull you under and drown you. If Rebecca survived the fall, the ocean waters in the month of March would have been around 68 degrees Fahrenheit. If she was a good swimmer, she may have been able to stay afloat for 2 to 40 hours before exhaustion sets in and she slips into unconsciousness. And that would have been the best case scenario. Panic, hypothermia, and creatures living in the ocean will lessen your chances of being rescued. With all of this speculation flying about, the Disney Cruise Line has done nothing to quell the public's outcry for further clarification about what really happened to Rebecca Coriam. But the mysteries of this case do not end here. In 2016, investigator Ram uncovered a pair of ripped shorts in Rebecca's personal effects, leading to further speculation that she may have been sexually assaulted upon returning to her cabin and tossed overboard afterward. Shortly after Rebecca went missing, her parents noticed activity on her bank account and a changed password on her Facebook account, indicating that a crime had taken place. On March 21, 2011, the Coriams received an email from a woman claiming to have seen Rebecca in Venice. Anne and Mike never took the information seriously because they found Rebecca's passport in her cabin when they were packing up her things. Of course, the stonewalling by officials in this case continues to add to the frustration and anguish of the Coriam family. Many attempts have been made to view Rebecca's file under the Freedom of Information Act. Each request has failed. Authorities have cited that the file contains restricted information, and a redacted version has yet to be offered. The Cheshire Police have stated that they were given access to the file, and it was clear that the investigation was botched from the beginning.
Now, if you look at this video, she looks like she's in distress here. Am I wrong? Like a little, kind of like she's going like this, like something's wrong. Or maybe it's a not. Maybe it's too blurry to see that. That's kind of what I took it as, though, at that point. But that's just my opinion.
During the early stages of the investigation, the Coriams sent letters to former President Barack Obama and the FBI appealing for help in finding their daughter. Each letter was met with silence. In 2016, the Coriams settled an out-of-court lawsuit against Disney for an undisclosed amount. One of the conditions of the settlement is that the Coriams are never allowed to speak publicly of Rebecca's disappearance again. The Coriams may have been silenced, but we are not. We'll continue to search for Rebecca and keep asking the one question no one wants to answer. Where is Rebecca Coriam? If you have any information about the disappearance of Rebecca Coriam, please call Crime Stoppers International at 1-800-222-8477. Are you obsessed with true crime content?
A little bit. So there's that version, and of course I have another one I want you guys to see. Excuse me. It's a definitely there's issues with this. There's red flags with this all over the place. I don't believe she went overboard. I don't believe a wave caught her. I don't believe any of that. Because here's the thing. If a big wave would have come, these boats are built for this, okay, first and foremost. But if that would have happened, a 6 foot high wall isn't very high, but it's enough to break the wave down enough to where it's not going to pull her over that way, okay? Mind you, the flip-flop that was found was not hers. She was never on deck 5. She was on deck 1. Those things all are bullshit. And Disney is doing this to cover their ass so that they don't have people going, oh my God, we can't take those cruises. People will go overboard. They go missing, so on and so forth. That's why Disney does what they do, just as much as any other company or corporation will. So, I don't believe that. I do not believe that. Hearing, the story about the threesome scenario and all that stuff, I have issues with a lot of this stuff. Okay, I'll be honest with you, but just saying, there are definite red flags and definite questions to this that I for sure have huge issues with. Yeah, the photo of her pulling up her sweats is disturbing 100%. I think she was assaulted. Okay, I truly do. And I think that she was going to say or do something, and that was probably figured upon. So in turn, they had to do something to her to stop her, to shut her up. Do you know what I mean? I hate to say it like that, but that's truly what these people do. I don't trust these cruise ships by any means. We covered that other one, Miss Bradley, not too long ago. She went, and it was the crew on that ship that I think had something to do with her disappearance. The band player, the bass player, so on and so forth. I mean, I just don't trust any of these cruise ships. I don't at all. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, Demon, we already talked about whether we would go on a cruise or not.
Oh, hey, Demon. Good to see you, buddy. All right, guys, let's get on to this next one. Of course, this one comes from that chapter. We all know who Mike is. I love the stuff that he does. So he puts out really down to earth and makes, you know, understandable stories the way he explains it. So hold on here. All right. Again, let me know how the audio runs on this, guys, if it's okay.
Year old Rebecca Coriam disappeared whilst working for a British employment agency on a Bahamian registered, American based Disney cruise ship in international waters off the coast of Mexico. Rebecca was living her dream, working as a member of the youth staff on the cruise ship Disney Wonder.
Hey you and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this video right here, we're going to look into an unsolved disappearance. Something about those cruise ships, guys.
Because of the implication.
It is the mysterious case of Rebecca Coriam. Mysterious depending on whether you ask the family of Rebecca Coriam or the multi-billion-dollar conglomerate, which has a very family-friendly image that it's not really too keen on getting their image anything other than, well, yeah, that. You see, Rebecca Coriam was last seen on March 22nd, 2011, aboard the cruise ship Disney Wonder where she worked. As with nearly all missing persons cases I cover, there were some very strange things that happened on the night she disappeared, and the investigation into her disappearance was kind of non-existent. Well, let's get into it. Rebecca was born in 1987 and grew up in Chester, England, with her parents, sister, and two foster brothers. Growing up, she worked at Chester Zoo and later attended Plymouth University studying sports science. Rebecca was described as a very upbeat person with a fun personality. In June 2010, she went to London to interview for the Disney cruise positions. There were hundreds of other people being interviewed, but she got the job. She started working on the cruise ship as a youth worker in June of 2010 in the Bahamas, then went back to England for 2 months. When she returned to work, her second cruise would be aboard the Disney Wonder, based in Los Angeles. Her grandfather died while she was away, so she left the job and went to be with her family for 2 weeks. Those 2 weeks, when she returned for her grandfather's funeral, that would be the last time her family would ever see her. Rebecca returned to the Disney Wonder, where she remained in contact with her family almost every day through Facebook and Skype. On March 21st, 2011, 6 weeks after she had last seen her parents, Rebecca messaged them saying she would call them the next day. That same day, the ship pulled out of Los Angeles and began its journey through the ocean. The next night, on March 22nd, Rebecca's parents heard no word from her and became worried. As I said, she contacted them every single day. Their fears were confirmed when they got a call that night from a Disney official telling them that their daughter was missing. That morning, Rebecca had not turned up for her 9 a.m. shift while the ship was off the coast of Mexico, bound for Puerto Vallarta and Cabo San Lucas. Her co-workers searched her room and everywhere else she could have been on the ship, but they found just absolutely no sign of her. They got no response from any pages on the ship's public address system. The next step was to review security footage to see if, and she was last seen at 5:45 a.m. that morning, talking to someone on the phone in the crew area. In the video, Rebecca appears to be very distraught. A young man walks up to her and seems to ask if she is okay. Rebecca replied that she was fine, and then proceeded to hang up the phone. She then walked away while pushing her hair back, and then putting her hands into her back pockets. Her parents said this was something she would do a lot when she was in that mood, when she was upset about something. And then after that piece of footage at 5:45 a.m., she just vanished. The crew searched the entire boat, and the Coast Guard and Mexican Navy searched the waters the ship passed through during the time Rebecca might have gone overboard. Nothing was found out there. An investigator from the Bahamas flew to the ship once it landed back in LA, which was 3 days after Rebecca had gone missing. The reason the investigator was from the Bahamas, not Mexican or American, was because the ship was registered in the Bahamas. Gotta avoid those taxes.
Search is underway today for a young employee who went missing from the Disney Wonder cruise ship. 24-year-old crew member Rebecca Coriam disappeared during the 7-day cruise to Mexico last week. Greg Jarrett is here live with the latest on that. Hey, Greg.
Hey, Megan, where is Rebecca Coriam? How could she simply vanish into thin air off this cruise ship? Her parents, frantic for answers, they flew from England, where they lived, to Los Angeles to collect their daughter's belongings from the ship and to search for some answers. Rebecca, whose hometown is Chester, England, was reported missing at sea a week ago after she failed to report for a scheduled shift on board the ship called Disney Wonder, a 7-day cruise sailing from LA to Puerto Vallarta. Now, Coriam worked as a coordinator for youth activities. She made a telephone call from the ship shortly before being reported missing. Details of the call not released yet. Passengers on board are stunned.
It's very disheartening. It was sad and brings up a lot of questions in your own minds.
At one point we thought it might be part of the skit, like Mickey's gonna find somebody, but at the same time you never really know.
The single investigator reportedly did searches all over the cruise ship, interviewed Rebecca's co-workers, gathered a collection of her personal items, and analyzed security footage. This was said to have taken a few days. However, after meeting with the detective, Rebecca's parents claim he had told them he only spent 1 day investigating the case and only interviewed a few co-workers, and no.
Took 1 day to do the investigation and interviewed 6 people. There's over 3,000 people on this boat. 1 day. 1 day. I've never heard of an investigation taking 1 day in my life.
Right.
And out of 3,000 some odd people, you interviewed 6? Are you serious? Come on.
Yeah, that's fishy.
This is, and these people, these investigators, they're brought in by Disney. They're paid by Disney. They're given these lush hotels and food and transportation by Disney, and they're asked to do things the way that Disney wants them to do things. So, yeah, come on, you guys. This is ridiculous. Shame on you, Disney. Shame on you. Okay, with all the money that company has, do the right thing. You're supposed to stand for family values. That's what Disney is all about. Family values, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. This is ridiculous.
No passengers. So in other words, it was extremely half-assed, and they didn't really do any proper investigation into what happened to her. Rebecca's parents arrived at the ship and met with the ship's captain. He expressed his condolences and told the parents he believed that Rebecca had been washed overboard by a wave while in the crew pool.
Yeah, guys, please, I dropped a link. I'll do it again real quick. Go check this out. That chapter with Mike here. Everything he puts out is really good. He does a great job at it. He puts a lot of things in layman's terms, so they're very understandable. And he's just down to earth. I like him. He's a really good guy. And there's his link. Go over to his channel if you will. Again, guys, please, subscribe, notification bell, like it, of course, and check out his other stuff. He's done so many different great shows. So please go check him out. You will not be disappointed. I can promise you that.
The parents did not believe this, as the walls to the crew pool were very high and unlikely she would have gone overboard there. And there's also not much reason to suggest she would have been in the pool at the time.
Exactly, SRB. And that's the point, guys. First off, no, she wouldn't have been in the pool or the pool area at 5:45, but let alone when it came to be found out that the CCTV footage was tampered with, it was actually 2:45 in the morning. So no, you're not going to be there. Obviously something happened. It was in the middle of the night. Something bad happened, in my opinion, which is why she went to the phone. She was trying to get help to deal with the situation, in my opinion, and that was stopped. That's why this happened, in my opinion, again, and was handled, I guess you could say, for lack of better terms. So again, Disney comes around and says, no, this can't get out. We can't have this happening. Too many people here and too much money they figured they would lose for people not wanting to go on their cruise, because you hear something like this happening, I'm not going. If that's something that you know is going to happen, that has happened already, I'm not going. And many, many other people are not going to take their kids or their wives or their, you know what I mean? Any of that on a ship like this, that this has happened on. So that's their mentality. And therefore, we got to cover this up and shut it down. And that's the wrong thing to do, obviously. So we see it happen all the time. It's sad.
Parents were then taken to a meeting with Disney executives, as well as the woman Rebecca had been talking to on the phone that morning. The parents assumed they would get more time to ask questions later, as they were very tired.
Let me tell you one more thing that I found out too. Those calls, those onboard phones, that's all recorded stuff. They know everything that was said on that call or what wasn't said. You know what I'm saying? So if there was anything said on there, they know what she said. They're never going to admit to it. Just saying. And I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm not, well, I guess I am kind of making an accusation here, but I wouldn't be surprised if the people that the Disney themselves are the ones that caused the cover up, per se, if you know what I'm trying to say. Okay. I just wouldn't, to shut her up. That's all I'm saying. And I'll leave it at that.
Hired, so they didn't really ask any at all to the executive or the person Rebecca was talking to. But they never got another chance. Disney kind of closed the door. Her parents then received her belongings, Rebecca's belongings, and her passport, and that was kind of like, right, well, she's gone. That was kind of their attitude towards it, which... And
as always, when we see huge corporations involved in stuff like this, there was a payout done. You know, so yes, SRB. There was a payout done, and it was kind of one of those scenarios where they said, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll give you this if you just let this go. I'm sorry that this happened. You have our condolences, so on and so forth. Here you go. Hopefully this helps you. Just please be quiet. You know, obviously not the way I said it, but yeah, this is what happened in my opinion. And eventually any parent is going to go, and I can't just let this go. And you know, are going to say something about it down the road eventually. So, and I believe that's what happens.
Right.
When the Disney cruise ship Wonder returned from a 7-day Mexican cruise early Sunday morning, it docked.
Oh, no, they did pay the family. I found that out, SRB. But no, they pay for the investigator themselves. The investigator is paid by Disney. So that tells you in itself. That's why it was a 1-day investigation. Nothing more. And they said, here, hurry up and clean this up. There you go. They probably paid a good amount of money, I'm sure, to that too. End of story. And that's very sad too. He may tell you in here, but I think the payoff, the family pay, was like 1 point something mil. I think. Don't quote me yet, but I think it was close to that. I don't know exactly, SRB, why, but You know, we've seen a lot of times in cases like this, after so much time, that people get tired. They feel like nothing's happening. No, that doesn't matter what you do. Nobody's going to do anything. Some people never give up, but some people at some point just get wore out and they're like, what's the point? Nobody's doing anything. We're not going to get anywhere. You know what I mean? So it could be that reason. I don't know, but that's a good question. Miss JC, hello. Good to see you, dear.
Maybe they took the money to get like a private investigator or something like that.
They did do that too. I just think it was a, here you go for your damages and your loss. Let's just shut this down, and that's all we can tell you. They never changed their story, but
Hush money.
yeah. But at some point, the family did bring in investigators. That's how they found, and I think it was this one that the FBI. No, it wasn't this was another one I looked at, which was kind of the same. But yeah, it could have been something like that. It could have been with, you know, I know they did bring in their own PI at some point somewhere, so it could be that too.
In the port of LA, with one of its crew members missing. Cruise passengers were aware of Coriam's disappearance and the efforts to locate her.
They told us over the loudspeaker several times that they were looking for her.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden they said they still hadn't found her.
But we didn't notice anybody panicking or, frantically going in and out of rooms or...
I actually didn't even notice. I didn't even notice the search. I mean, it was, they said that they were searching, but it was nothing obvious.
But one passenger heard something much more ominous.
I talked to one of the people that pick up. They said that they found her shoes and her belongings, and they have a feeling that she might have suicided. Very quiet woman.
Then almost a year later, nothing was discovered. It was like just closed case. There was nothing really, there was no follow-up investigation, and it was literally just a vanishing. However,
that new clue in the search for the young cruise worker turns out to be recent activity on her credit card. It's one of the few hopeful signs the family's received since she vanished in March.
In early May 2011, a few weeks after Rebecca's parents returned home, her bank sent them an email saying that someone had tried to gain access to one of her accounts on April 19th. The fact that her credit card's been used could only mean that someone has stolen it, or she's still alive, her father said. Her bank card was not among her possessions. A few months later, an uncle of Rebecca's said the password to her Facebook account had been changed. He did not know by whom. And then, one day before the anniversary of her disappearance, Rebecca's father received an email from a woman claiming she had seen Rebecca with a dark-haired man in Venice the previous August. That would have been 5 months after she disappeared. She said she was 85% sure it was Rebecca. Now, her family believed this email. You know, the email that was from a complete stranger, and 85% is also a weird number to give. Also, how would she be in Venice when she didn't have a passport? That leads to a theory which kind of comes up, is that she was trafficked or something. When I have a hard time believing, I think that was just a false lead. Rebecca's uncle said it was just an email, but it seemed legitimate. It was very upsetting for everyone to think she could be out there somewhere after all this time. In October 2011, 7 months now after Rebecca was last seen or vanished, journalist John Ronson took a cruise aboard the Disney Wonder along the same route Rebecca had taken. While aboard, he began to ask the crew about what would happen, you know, discreetly, kind of like, hey, yeah, what do you hear? And he heard some interesting things. One waiter he spoke to when asked if he was aboard when Rebecca disappeared said, "I don't know anything about it. It didn't happen. You know, that's the answer I have to give." If there's a video that...
I don't know anything about it. It didn't happen. You know, that's the answer I have to give. Really? Really? That's really sad, you guys. Just really sad. Say, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised.
No.
That shows your daughter going overboard. This part in quotation marks, for example. There's no way someone can go off a ship and it not be recorded. Now, while Disney claims to have no footage of Rebecca going overboard, they also refuse to tell anybody about the number of CCTV cameras that are on the Disney Wonder and also their locations. They just won't disclose it for security reasons. After staying on the ship a number of days and wandering its entirety, he came to the conclusion that the only place Rebecca could have fallen from is the Deck 4 jogging track. The railings everywhere else are just too high, and she was a keep fit fanatic. His theory is that after the 5:45 a.m. phone call, she went for a jog and slipped. While there, he spotted 4 security cameras. He then asked the man who worked on that deck, saying, I'm here, she must have fallen from here. The worker replied, no, she went from Deck 5. John Ronson replied, there's no outside space on Deck 5. The worker said, go to Deck 10, walk to the front of the ship and look down. You'll see the crew swimming pool. That's where she went from, the starboard side. How do you know this? I was on the ship that day. Everyone knows. How? They found her slipper. John then ventured up to Deck 10 to take a gander. I walked up to Deck...
That sandal, by the way, was 2 or 3 sizes too big for her foot, and they found the other one to match it in another cabin. Wasn't hers. So there's that. Yeah, I read a lot about this. So there's that too. So this is everything about this is wrong. I do believe that may have been what he was told to say, the whole crew per se. Okay.
Right.
But these boats are made so it's hard for people to go overboard in some senses. Mind you, there's cameras, and I mean, there's more cameras on this than most towns have in them. Okay. They're all over the place. It's very hard for somebody to go overboard and not be seen on a camera. That's the problem. So there's that too. And that's the thing. They certainly seem to know where she went over. Like I said, I believe they're told to say that. Truly, I agree, SRB.
Deck 10 and looked down, and I saw it. The crew swimming pool looks nice and bigger than some of the guest pools, but it's the swimming pool equivalent of an inside cabin. There's no view of the ocean because the railings are too high. It reaches well above head height. There is no way someone could accidentally fall from there. He went back to the worker on Deck 4. I saw it, he said. God bless her, he replied. Over the next few days, he asked more people, and every time he got the exact same response. She jumped from the front of Deck 5 at the crew pool. One crew member said to John, Disney knows exactly what happened. The phone call she had, it was taped. Everything here is taped. There's CCTV everywhere. Disney has the tape. Also, after Rebecca Corian went missing, Disney had like a weird little ceremony. Weird because of this. They put flowers at the wall next to the crew pool, where they think she might have jumped from. That's where they found her slipper. But a friend told John Ronson, those weren't her flip-flops. They were too big. They weren't her style. They were pink and flowery and Hawaiian. I'd never seen her wear them. Disney swear they told us everything they know, which is that they don't know anything, but most of us think, bullshit. Someone must know something. Someone's covering something up. It was ultimately confirmed that the slipper they found at the crew wall was not Rebecca's. Well, a friend said it didn't look like anything she wore, and it also had another crew member's number and name written on it. The slipper had. You'd think that would have been a dead giveaway, that it wasn't her.
Which is how they found the other one in another cabin that belonged to a crew member. So there's that too.
But of course, though, just because it was someone else's crew slipper, that doesn't mean Rebecca wasn't wearing it at the time. She could have borrowed it. Somebody could have given it to her. She could have just put it up, found it and put it on. So, 6 years after the disappearance, Rebecca's girlfriend at the time, Tracy Medley, told that Rebecca was not the upbeat person people knew her to be. She was using a lot of drugs, and once got so emotional she banged her head against the ship's steel walls. She had also spoken of suicide before. The night she disappeared, Tracy, Rebecca, and Tracy's boyfriend at the time had a threesome. Rebecca woke up early and the man let her borrow some of his clothes to go out, and that was the last time they would see her. The video footage of Rebecca on the phone supports this because, well, people have pointed out that the clothes Rebecca is wearing in the footage, they were much bigger and baggier than any she had. And it certainly makes the theory that she jumped a lot more plausible. The main theories about Rebecca's disappearance are that she jumped, she fell accidentally, she got swept overboard, or the one that she was killed and dumped, or of course then she was trafficked. Two of those seem extremely unlikely to me. And I definitely think that Disney has the footage, but I think if it was a criminal matter of somebody committing murder or trafficking her, yeah, they probably would have, given the footage to the police for that. But the real main thing is, this case could have used, investigations. It could have used investigations, like any investigation rather than one person going aboard, talking to like two people, just like faffing about. If there was more than one person, or he'd actually done an investigation, which would have been his job, they might have actually found what happened to Rebecca, and this is, 8 years later? So, seems unlikely that anything will be found at this point. Let's be real. It seems definitely like Disney knows more than what they're letting on, and I feel pretty strongly that they do know what happened to Rebecca, but they just don't want to tell anybody because, hey, it's Disney, Mickey Mouse. So they just don't want anything to tarnish their family-friendly image of somebody dying on their cruise ship. Doesn't exactly jive with the mood they go for, usually. But that is the story of Rebecca Coriam. Let me know what you think about this case down below. What do you think happened to her? And do you think that there was something nefarious going on the Disney Wonder that night she disappeared? The frustrating thing about this case is there's just such a lack of information about it. And it really stinks of a cover-up. Somebody knows something, but it's just hush hush. And finally, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to see some more of my videos, please subscribe, and as I said, let me know your thoughts on this case in the usual space. And I will see you, as always, real soon in the next video. Take care of yourselves.
All right. Thank you again, Mike, for that one. Appreciate it. Again, I have my thoughts on this. I'm definitely a cover-up, in my opinion. Shame on you, Disney.
Yeah, I don't see how you could see it any other way.
No, truly no. Sad too. It's beyond sad, to be honest with you. She worked there in the daycare part. This was her dream per se. To work on one of these ships. And this is how it ends. This is just horrible. I'm sorry. I feel so bad for her family and anybody else that goes through this. Just like the Bradley case we looked at with that scenario, on the cruise ship going missing from there. I just couldn't believe. These don't go on a cruise. I'm just saying. I'm not doing it. So freaks me out a little bit, just a little bit. So I don't know, you guys. I don't know. All right, guys, I'm going to load in this next case here. What's everybody else's thoughts on this, by the way? You can leave it in the comments, of course, or throw things in here too. Either way, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And hopefully we can bring some more. It doesn't get a whole lot of awareness brought to it. A whole lot of. I did, JC. I covered Amy Bradley. When did we do that one, Bear? Was it last week or the week before?
It's been recent. I'm not sure.
Maybe a week ago, JC. Yeah, we covered that one, which is another one that's really, I think it was the beginning of last week. That one's got a lot of questions, JC. A whole lot. And very sad. That one's way more in depth than what Rebecca's is because there was a lot more involved with it, but still very, very bad situations. Let's see here. Hold on a minute. Give me one moment here. Bear with me. I have a couple of this too. I'm trying to find which one I want to run for you first. One moment. Thank you for your patience. This is doing its typical thing.
Yeah, Docs, I don't think I would want to do that to myself, go into the freezing cold infested waters and just float around until the sharks or whatever decided to take care of me. That would not be the way I would want to go.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Like I've said in the past, most people that unalive themselves are trying to escape pain, not cause themselves more pain.
Typically, yeah. Just like when we covered Deborah Collier's case.
Yeah.
You know? That's why the outcome to her case is so hard to accept.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next one, I'm loading it in. It's just taking its good old time. This again, second case we're looking at is about Robert Wone, who was murdered. And I'm telling you, wow, this one's nuts. The explanation to this, I can't explain this, you guys. That's all I'm saying. Let's see here. One moment.
Why is it everything that pops up on my phone that's in the news comes from either Texas or Florida? What is wrong with those two states?
Don't get me started.
Oh. That's true, JC. They are the two biggest states. Has to be in the water. Probably Mikey. Yeah, I agree with that too, Demon and Cap. Take two of them to throw her over.
Okay. I think it finally loaded. I'm going to show you guys a news segment on this first, and this just explains. They made a documentary on this one, like a movie through Peacock, okay? And I'm not showing that because it's Peacock, obviously. I'm going to show you the news segment first, and then we're going to watch that chapter has done a thing on this we're going to follow too. So let me know how the audio's.
Emergency 911. A friend of ours is bleeding in our house. Who was the person that stabbed him?
Investigators, forensics experts, true crime jocks. Nobody has seen anything like this one.
Robert Wone decided to spend the night with 3 friends.
We have their story that an intruder broke in, and Robert was stabbed 3 times.
1, 2, 3. Bang. The story just took off from there.
That was a clip from Who Killed Robert Wone, a documentary revisiting one of the most infamous murder mysteries in D.C. Police were left with more questions than answers after that 2006 murder of D.C. attorney Robert Wone on Swan Street in DuPont Circle. Director Jared P. Scott joins us now to fill in some of the blanks and what to expect in this true crime. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. I'm curious, listen, your documentaries in the past have been all over the map, right? And you've done environmental issues. You've done just about anything you can think of. What drew you to this story?
Yeah, one of the themes throughout my work has been this idea of injustice, and this is an unsolved case. Justice has not has.
Oh yeah, just wait, SRB. This is crazy. There's no way to explain this, but kind of, but no.
Not come to pass for Robert or his family or his friends. And so, one of the main reasons we go out and make a story like this is we try to advocate for the victim here. We have someone who had a tragic death, and that no one has been held accountable for that death. And if we can tell a great story that's perplexing and chilling and brings the viewers in, then maybe that'll get enough attention to the story where someone will come forward and maybe they saw something, maybe they heard something that night, and we can get a tip or a clue that might bring us closer to for finding justice for Robert.
For viewers who have been around for a minute, they'll remember this story clearly. I mean, we covered this extensively. Happened back in 2006, again on Swan Street in DuPont Circle. As a matter of fact, in that clip right there, you just heard one of our former reporters who was part of the documentary. I know you used some of our footage and some of the coverage to put this together. But how do you take this and I guess sell it to a national or a global audience? What do you use as some of the key points here as takeaways?
Well, I mean, anyone who was in the DC area who knows about this case, you said it, Paul Wagner, former Fox 5, reporter, the Washingtonian, the Blade. This got a lot of attention in Washington, DC, and it never really became this national story. So, it's now when I talk to people or people that see the show, most people that haven't been in the DC area say, how have I never heard about this before? And that's what we're trying to do with the stories, bring it to a larger audience. So when we worked with Peacock and Jupiter Entertainment, the idea is how can we take this story that somehow is this giant story nationally in DC and inject that into the bloodstream of the current moment across the country and hopefully into the world. And again, I think the idea is the more eyeballs that get on this, the more people that watch this, and it's a fascinating story that someone might come forward and, we might get closer to finding justice for Robert.
When you look at a lot of true crime stories that are out there, a lot of times they have the finality already. We're just retelling the story, right? When you have a story like this where you didn't get that finality, whether it be by the criminal court system, you did have some civil cases that were put to bed because of this. Does that make it easier or tougher to tell the story?
As storytellers, we try to, it's like solving a puzzle. And this is one of the most perplexing, chilling and baffling puzzles I've come across. So we never thought we were going to solve this. We were just going to lay bare this story in a way that hopefully hadn't been done before. Again, we can arrange information. We can bring a cinematic, augmentation to it, with graphics, with beautiful music. All of these, people love stories. And again, I think as opposed to reading this in the newspaper and hearing about it, through other means, if you can watch this and bring audiences in through the power of storytelling, and people love murder mysteries, then again, I think this gets us that step, one step closer to solving this case. Although this was a murder trial, although this was a murder case, it was not a murder trial. And therefore, again, no one's been held accountable for this. So it is interesting to tell a story that is about a mysterious murder, but not actually be able to solve that murder. But again, I think that our job as storytellers is to lay that out and allow audiences to get immersed in that. And again, hopefully someone comes forward.
We're going to have to wrap this up, but I'm curious what you think is that one puzzle piece that is missing. Is it really, like, how did he get to that? Why was he at the house in the first place? Is it something more than that? What stood out to you?
I think no matter what you think, there's so many twists and turns, and I urge your viewers to go watch this on Peacock. But it's anything that you think may have happened had to have happened in the 79-minute window from when Robert arrived and to when till 911 was called. And that's the most baffling thing, because there are so many different possibilities and so many twists and turns within those 79 minutes. And that's what always baffles me to this day.
Well, listen, we look forward to checking it out. For some of us, revisiting the case, and for others, seeing it for the very first time with fresh eyes. Appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you so very much, and best wishes with the doc and many more.
All right. So if you guys have Peacock, you may want to go watch it too. It's definitely going to give you that will probably give you way more insight than I will. But this is definitely one for the books, folks. Truly. I'm not 100% sure what type of an attorney or lawyer you said Robert, as somebody asked, was. I don't know. But either way, this is crazy. Congratulations, Miss SRBBB. 21 months. We're almost at our 2-year mark here. Wow. It seems like yours is going by way faster now. It's weird. Happy day anniversary and congratulations to you. We appreciate you being here so very much.
Congrats, SRB. Woohoo.
Yes, I'm beyond grateful that you're part of this team and this family. Very proud of all of you all. So thank you so much. Again. All right, guys, one moment. Yeah, the documentary is quite interesting. JC's correct. We're happy to have you here, SRB. All right, guys, more Mikey for us. Back to that chapter. Same links apply, of course, so on and so forth. But guys, please listen to this one. Miss Jenna's in the house. Hello, Miss Jenna. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you today, or so much for being here today. I hope you're having a great day, and we appreciate having you here. Always. Again, guys, go check out that chapter with Mikey. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button and notification bell, and share it out, guys. I'm telling you, he puts out such great stuff. You will not be disappointed. And one more quick thing, if you could, just another quick favor. Please make sure to click Mama Bear's link in the chat. Jump on over. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit that notification bell, like it, and share it out, guys. And, of course, you're welcome to hang out over there with Mama Bear as well, because we're all here together, so it doesn't really matter.
Thank you, Jana. Thank you, Damon.
Let me know how everything sounds.
On August 2nd, 2006, at around 11:50 p.m., it would begin one of the most baffling, disturbing, and controversial murder mysteries of all time. That sounds kind of like a bit of an exaggeration, but literally just Google most disturbing unsolved mysteries. This will always be somewhere on that list. This is the story of who murdered Robert Wone. And on the surface, it seems pretty straightforward. Guys, already solved this one. Then you dig a little deeper, and it gets trippy and baffling pretty quickly. Where are my cards? Because yeah, it's another one of them rabbit holes. We're going to look at the victim, Robert Wone himself, the investigation, the suspects, the interviews.
He didn't just die, he was murdered. You certainly do know. I do not. You do know.
And everything that happened after. And then, of course, we got to talk about some theories, because this case I don't think any theory really makes sense. By the way, I also have to mention and give a huge shout out to the website whomurderedrobertwone.com. It's a website that's been active for well over a decade now, keeping this case alive. It was set up by Craig Brownstein, David Greer, Michael Kremen, and Doug Johnson. Craig Brownstein also has the full interrogations of the 3 defendants on his YouTube channel, Craig in DC, youtube.com/Craig Brownstein. Go check them out. Shout out to those guys. They didn't know Robert personally or anybody involved in this case personally. They just lived in the area and were fascinated by this case. And who could blame them? This case is fascinating, scary, and disturbing. Now, so as I said last time, grab a beer. Grab a cup of coffee. Grab whatever you're doing. Settle in. Thank you so much for watching. Now let's give it a go. So the disturbing, because when you get into it, yikes, case of what happened to Robert Wone. Well, you got to begin with the lad himself, right? The who, what, why, where, when, why, something. Other words. Well, Robert Wone, he was a very interesting guy in his own right. He was very successful. He seemed like a very happy fella. He was a nice, quiet guy, and he made friends with some interesting people. Now, Robert worked in law, very hard-working guy, a job with a lot of stress, but that was something he really seemed to take, in his stride. Robert Eric Wone was born in the year 1974, if you can believe that, June 1st, in New York City. It's a variation of fruit. I always forget which one. His parents, William and Amy, were third-generation Chinese Americans, and this was something Robert took a lot of pride in. He grew up in Chinatown, Manhattan, and then later went to a private Catholic school in Brooklyn. Now, during his formative years, he would write essays about what does it mean? What does it mean to be Asian American in this day and age? That was something that really meant a lot to him. What does it mean to be Asian American in these days? I don't know. Ask an Asian American. So then, after graduating high school, he upped sticks and left the Big Smoke. He went down to Virginia, and he enrolled at the prestigious College of William and Mary. There, he was studying public policy. As you can probably kind of see with Robert already so far, public policy, civil rights, all that kind of stuff was something Robert took very seriously. He would be the kind of guy who would be out there marching, protesting, all that kind of stuff for civil liberties. He would study public policy and then go on to work in law. He was a stand-up guy who wouldn't just sit back and let things happen in the world around him. He was active in college with various clubs and groups, frats, and when he graduated in 1996, he received the prestigious Algernon Sidney Sullivan Award, named after...
Sorry to interrupt, guys. Thank you for the anonymous, there's a small donation made to the Venmo. Thank you so much for that. God bless. We don't ever expect that, guys, but it is greatly, greatly appreciated. It helps us to keep this going, keep the bills paid. So whoever that was, thank you so much. Every little bit counts. It all adds up. God bless. So very gracious and generous. It really means a lot. So thank you so much for that, whoever you were.
After, let me just check. Yep, Algernon Sullivan, who I have no idea who he is, but he's some kind of lawyer. And it was while he was studying at the College of William and Mary that Robert became really, really good friends with a guy named Joseph Price. Now, Joseph Price will come up later in this story, big time. But they were both members of this secretive group called 13. And it wasn't like one of these secret societies with skulls and bones and shit. It was more like the secret society where you just do nice things to people. Anonymous donations, anonymous gifts. Joseph Price, he was also interested in studying law, and so they became best buddies. Unfortunately for Robert Wone, but we will get to that. He later went on to the University of Pennsylvania to study law, and just like he was in the College of William and Mary, very active in student government, clubs, groups, all of that sort of thing. He was also the editor of the school's law journal, and then once he graduated, he passed the state bar exam in New York City, and then he went to work as a clerk for a federal judge in Eastern Virginia. He was getting the old resume, up to scratch before he went to work for a private firm. That was Covington and Burling in Washington, D.C. And so if you know kind of anything about this case, you'll know that this is now setting the scene for the nightmare that is to come. So from what I can gather, I know nothing about law and even less about law firms. Covington, though, and Burling in D.C. seems like a pretty prestigious law firm. They get offices around the world. They were set up in 1919, and it's one of the good ones to join. And Robert, as soon as he joined, he was making his mark. a great place to get your foot in the door, especially for somebody like Robert Wone. They focus on public policy, like perfect for Robert, who had studied that in school. They don't do like criminal law or that sort of thing. They deal more with like regulations, employment law, or real estate law. And so working away like he was, hotshot young fella. It was 2 years into his career, in 2002, that he went to attend a conference in Chicago, Illinois. And it was at that conference he would meet his future wife, Catherine Yu. She also worked in law and was based in Chicago. They began a long-distance relationship. Let me tell you, nothing worse. And then they actually married a year later, a year after they met in June 2003, which is a very short time for them to get married. Like, they had known each other for probably like less than a year at this point, but I guess when you know, you know. So to sum up to the night of, Robert, he was married. He worked for a very prestigious firm, so he had a great job, probably very well compensated for it, and his employers knew it. Not only was he likely...
I think this is the... it might be the video timestamp, Demon. Not 100% sure.
One of their brightest stars when it came to his day job. Outside of all of that, he was on the Asian Pacific.
Or this could be the my how long I've been live, the actual as compared to the other. It could be because they're pretty close.
American Bar Association Education Fund. He was an advisor for the Museum of the Chinese in the Americas. He was on the board of the William and Mary's Washington, D.C. Council. He was basically, and if there was an acronym that was, you know, something, he was probably on it. It was in June 2006 that he left his job at Covington and Burling and went to work at Radio Free Asia, which is a non-profit, radio news service that broadcasts a lot in Asia, and it's headquartered in Washington, D.C. He was going to work for them as general counsel for, law stuff. You know yourself. So all of that sets us up for the night of August 2nd, 2006. Robert, that evening, he was working late. Now, he hadn't been working in his new job at Radio Free Asia for very long, and he actually wanted to work late and stay on a little bit later that evening because he hadn't met the night shift folk yet. So he wanted to stay on, introduce himself to them, chat away with them, and all that sort of thing. And because he was working late, he didn't want to have to go home to his wife, Catherine Yu. It would mean getting the subway quite a distance. She would be up early for work the next morning, so he didn't want to arrive late and disturb her. So he was like, I'm going to crash with a friend who lives in the city. Now, this wasn't like a spur of the moment thing. He'd been planning this for like about a week in advance, that he was going to stay late this day. So he's going to stay at a friend's who lived less than a 10-minute drive away from the offices of Radio Free Asia. Now, that friend was Joseph Price, who you might remember was a good friend Robert Wone made while he was studying back at college. Old buddy from William and Mary, and they'd become very close. They'd remained in contact over the years. They would always be hanging out. They'd celebrate birthdays together and that sort of thing. Robert had been to Joseph Price's house many times, hadn't stayed over ever. But, he knew him, was comfortable around them. And Robert's wife, Catherine, she knew Joseph. She knew he was going to stay there. Now, at the house that Robert Wone was going to, it wasn't just Joseph Price who lived there. There was a couple other people who lived there too. See, Joseph Price was in a relationship with another guy named Victor Saborsky, who also lived in that home. And there was a third guy there too, Dylan Ward. Now, these three, woof. See, Joseph and Victor were in a long-term relationship, but Dylan was also part of it too. It was kind of like one of these like Three's Company sort of ordeals where they were all kind of just kind of doing each other. Well, okay, not really. So Joseph and Victor were in a long-term committed relationship, and Joseph was also in a sexual relationship with Dylan. Victor was not, but Victor knew about it, and this wasn't like a hidden secret sort of thing at all. I don't even know where to begin with this. Dylan and Joseph were into the kinky, they had the masks and the gimps and all that sort of business. And Dylan was the dom, Joseph was the sub, as every hole's a go. Now, by all accounts, Robert was not involved in this. He was straight as an arrow. He was just friends with Joseph, and he needed a place to crash. By the way, the house, only gorgeous. Back then in 2006, it was worth over $1 million. So God only knows what it's worth in today's nightmare hellscape that we call real estate. 3 stories, kitchen, living room on the first floor, the ground floor. Then on the second floor, a bedroom and an office, which also doubled as a guest room overlooking the street. And then another bedroom on the 3rd floor. there was also a separate basement apartment. That separate basement apartment was rented by a female friend of theirs. So Robert arrived there to that home shortly after 10:30 p.m. that night. He went in, he said, hell yeah, he had a glass of Ishka, a glass of water, with Joseph and Dylan in the kitchen. They were chatting about this and that. Victor was also in the house, but he was upstairs already in bed. They kind of chatted briefly. They were like, we'll catch up in the morning. It's getting kind of late. Robert then, he went to have a shower, and he was going to go sleep in Joseph's office, which, as I said, doubled as a guest bedroom and had a pull-out couch bed. That was on the second floor. Dylan Ward, his bedroom was also on that same second floor, but like across the hall from it. Victor and Joseph were then in the bedroom directly above. Now we get into the he said. Joseph and Victor would say that they went to bed, and as they were drifting off to sleep, they heard the door chime. So there wasn't an alarm set in the house, but when you opened the front door, there was like a little bell that just rang. They assumed it was the person who's renting the basement just coming in. Shortly after that security bell chime thing, though, they heard 3 grunts. And then they were like, whoa, shit, that's weird. They then were like, okay, they decided then to get up and check what was going on. Going down the stairs, Robert's bedroom would have been right almost at the bottom of the stairs. And
all right, I'm going to stop here for a second. So, we now know Robert stayed at his friend's second floor, went to bed, okay? Joseph goes back to bed with his partner, Victor. They're laying there. They hear the door chime like as if somebody comes in. They thought it was the third person that lived in the house, that lived in the basement area. And then right there after that, they say they both heard a okay. Now I don't know how thin the walls are in these buildings, but to hear a grunt like that is a little bit much to me, but okay. They say so. They say so. I question that. Did you hear that really? But anyway, okay. Welcome, Critical. Good to see you today. So there's my first little tiny red flag, I must say.
They saw the door was open. Robert was in there. He was lying straight up on the bed, flat back on the bed, and he'd been stabbed multiple times. They could tell immediately he was dead. They were stunned and in shock, looking at their friend who they'd only seen moments before. He was fine. And then they saw Dylan come out of his bedroom, which was on the other end of the hall, and Dylan was bleary. What's going on? Now, it's important to note they said they heard the door chime before they heard the grunts. Then they went downstairs, and they never heard the door chime again, as in the door chime somebody coming in, but there was no door chime of somebody leaving the house. They also would say they didn't hear footsteps. They didn't see anybody running. They didn't see anything going on here. An intruder. They didn't see or hear anybody. Then Victor Zaborski, he called the police. His words sounded, well, actually, here, you can hear it for yourself.
DC Emergency 911 Operator 6752. Do you need police, fire, or ambulance? Immediately. We need an ambulance. What's wrong, ma'am?
We had someone that was in our house, evidently, and they stabbed somebody.
Okay, somebody's inside the house now?
I don't know. We heard.
Are they bleeding? You see someone bleeding?
Someone is bleeding in our house.
Okay, where's they bleeding from?
I think in the stomach.
The stomach? Is he conscious? Calm down for me. I'm going to send some help, okay? Female or male?
It's a male. He's a friend of ours. He was spending the night with us.
Okay, and who was the person that stabbed him? Do you know? Is he conscious?
We need an ambulance.
Ma'am, listen to me.
He's not conscious.
He's not conscious at all?
No. We need someone right now.
Is he breathing? Listen to me. Calm down. I'm going to help you, okay? Is he breathing?
I'm upstairs, and he's downstairs. I don't know.
Okay, who's downstairs with him?
My partner is downstairs with him right now. He told me to go upstairs and call the police immediately.
Okay, who is the person that stabbed him?
I don't know. We think it's somebody with an intruder in the house. We heard the chime at the door.
The person that stabbed him, is he still in the home?
I don't know.
apply pressure to that area. If he was wherever he was stabbed at on his body, and then you take a towel downstairs while you're waiting for the paramedics to arrive, and just apply pressure.
My partner's holding the.
Okay.
Holding it on it. The person had one of our knives.
The person that stabbed him ran out the door with a knife.
I think.
Okay, how do you know that? Now, initially, when I heard this story and read the report, the knife was laying on his chest, okay, after they found him. And he was stabbed perfectly 3 times in the chest. 3 different stab. And it wasn't just all, you know what I mean? They were very clean cuts. So, there's that. Okay, and I'm going to keep playing this, but think about some of this. This is a little weird, okay? They hear a chime. They all go to bed. They hear a chime. Then they hear these grunts from the 3rd floor down to the 2nd floor. A couple grunts. They go running downstairs because of those grunts, supposedly. Not because of the door chime, because they thought that that was the other roommate. Find him this way. And then here we are. So this is, I don't know. Something's off here. I'm just telling you. It gets better, though.
That call was placed at 11:49 p.m. and emergency services arrived about 5 minutes later. This is when things get weird. I mean, even weirder than you finding your friend, one of your oldest friends, stabbed to death in your home. When the EMS workers arrived, there was 2 paramedics who arrived to the scene. You know, they came up to the door like, what's going on? Where do we go? Who needs help? The paramedics would say that Joseph, Victor, and Dylan were all acting extremely cagey and would barely speak to them. The EMS workers would say that as soon as they set foot inside that house, the hairs on the back of their neck stood up. Something very wrong and very disturbing had just happened here. Joseph Price was the only person in the room where Robert's body was, and he had his back to the paramedics the whole time. He was there at Robert's body. The paramedics come in. He steps away from Robert's body, but still keeps his back to the paramedics. The paramedics were extremely freaked out by this point. Everybody was acting so weird and disturbed. It was like they could still hear the screams echoing around the house. The paramedics were so on edge trying to treat Robert, who it seemed, pretty clearly was gone, but they still had to go through the motions, but they wouldn't take their eyes off the other 3 lads who were there. They kept looking at them. They kept checking their hands as if they were afraid like Joseph or something might have a knife and might attack the paramedics then. The paramedics would say they were scared. One of them was a 10-year veteran. One of them was a 15-year veteran, and they would say they had never, ever been to a scene that was quite like this one. Another thing that freaked the paramedics out was that the 3 men, it seemed like they had just showered.
Let me give you another piece of information. Not that he's just about to explain that all 3 men looked like they had just showered, blah, 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 right? The entire scene was clean. Robert himself was clean. Very clean. The scene, being stabbed 3 times, you'd think there'd be blood all over, right? No, he was very clean for the situation. The scene itself was very clean for the situation. All 3 of the men were very clean. And yeah, they were all in white towels. Anybody else? Anybody else? Because I know I was like, what? Everything was like perfect, spotlessly clean, almost like it was staged. And then, you know what I'm saying? It's so weird. I'll be honest with you. But yeah, JC's right about that right there. So moving on.
2 of them were wearing bathrobes and they had wet hair, like slicked back as if they had just been drying themselves. The first thing the EMS workers noticed was the giant hole, kind of a dead giveaway, in Robert's chest. But no blood. No blood on his body at all. Just a hole. None on the victim, none on the floor, none anywhere else in the room. The room was in fact perfect. No mess, no disarray, no. It was like he'd just been lying on the bed and then somehow holes, 3 of them just appeared in his chest, killing him. Very strange. His wallet, his BlackBerry, still on the nightstand just beside him. Upon closer inspection, it seemed that Robert had been stabbed in the chest 3 times with a hell of a knife. Then he'd been undressed, showered, cleaned, redressed, and placed back in the bed. Robert was...
And mind you, it stated that when they first found him, they saw the knife on his chest. But when they got to the scene, the knife was laying on the bed neatly next to him. Excuse me? This is all just so strange to me. And there's more. There's more. There's more.
Was also known to grind his teeth when he slept, so he would usually sleep with a night guard in. Still had it in him. Still was in his mouth. So 3 stab wounds, no blood coming from any of them. His body was completely clean. It definitely seemed like he'd been cleaned and then left there. The murder weapon was on the nightstand. It was a large knife that had actually come from the home.
Okay, I'm sorry, nightstand. I misinterpreted. I thought they said it was on a bed, but still, it was laying on the nightstand. Not initially, though, it was claimed that they saw the knife laying on his chest, so they moved it. They touched the murder weapon. And of course, Joseph says, well, you're going to find my DNA on that because I touched it and moved it. I'm sure.
Home itself would come from the kitchen. So you got Robert there, completely undisturbed, except, the 3 holes in his chest. No blood, no nothing coming from him. The room, spotless, ditto the bed, except there was a couple of little droplets of blood that spread out, but I mean, from the holes that were in his chest, that's like way too... That's like a nosebleed. There was a towel that had blood in it on the floor, and that was the towel they assumed had been used, as Victor had said on the call. Joseph was putting pressure on Robert's wounds, trying to stop the bleeding, which it doesn't seem to was even bleeding at all. But no, the blood on the towel seemed to have been from somebody wiping the knife. The knife itself had blood the entirety of the way up the blade. Weirdly enough, the wounds on Robert were like 4.5 inches deep. The blood on the knife was up to 5 inches deep. So it seemed like the knife was like too long to have been the ones that actually stabbed Robert. Also on that knife found later were fibers from the towel. So it seemed like that towel had been used to wipe the knife clean. But what was even weirder, and this is where things really stopped making sense, is that so Robert was wearing a t-shirt, had stab wounds that matched the stab wounds in his body. So you could assume he was wearing that t-shirt when he was stabbed, but there was a surprisingly small amount of blood on this t-shirt. There was also no t-shirt fibers found on the knife. It almost seemed like that knife wasn't the murder weapon. It was just made to look like the murder weapon.
So there we go. It's almost like he was stabbed with a different knife, and then that was brought in and staged to look like the weapon, guys. This is crazy to me. No, there was no cuts on anyone's hands, docs me, that was seen or heard of. Okay. So why? Okay, why? Why would you? They cleaned it off once, and then it's almost like somebody cleaned it off and was going to hide it to hide that, but then went ahead back in and messed it up. Does that make sense? I know it sounds stupid, but that's how this looks. Okay. It's crazy. I don't know. Like maybe a bigger knife or a different type, smaller knife was used. Maybe that was gotten rid of. And then they came in and said, well, wait, there has to be a weapon here, and used this knife to do that with. It's so strange, you guys. This is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen.
Weapon. So before I get deeper into the men who were in that house, their backgrounds, and what they say happened, and their police interviews, let me get into what actually happened to Robert Wone, because it is traumatic. So there was 3 stab wounds to his chest. The medical examiner would say they were perfect, as in Robert wasn't fighting the stabber. There wasn't tearing or anything, and each came from the exact same angle. But they all cut serious blood vessels, arteries, and organs.
Like the stab wounds were purposely done to do what they did. You see what I'm saying? And they were beyond clean, as it states there. Thank you, SRB. And they almost like they purposely cut those specific things to cut those organs and those arteries and stuff. It's crazy. I mean, I'm sure he could have been SRB. I don't know, but there's more. There's more coming. I promise you. It's so strange. The whole thing is.
As in, he would have been pumping blood, so the scene was very, very strange. None would have killed him immediately.
And anytime you hit a main artery, it's gonna spray. It's gonna go everywhere. Do you know what I'm saying? It will. There was nothing. You saw those 2 little blood spots on that sheet. That's all there was, and on his shirt, nothing more. Or was there? Remember, 2 of the men were in bathrobes, and their hair was slicked back as if they had showered recently. Just remember that.
However, it's believed Robert would have been alive for a considerable amount of time after he had been stabbed. They knew he would have been alive after he had stabbed because blood was found deep in his intestines, as in his heart was still pumping. You know, the stab wound, internal bleeding, his heart was still pumping and his digestive system was still working long enough that the blood could get that far, you know, into his system. But he had no defensive wounds or marks or anything on him like that. And he had, weirdly enough, he had no blood on his hands. It was as if he had been paralyzed before being stabbed. Also found were burst blood vessels in his eyes.
Now, he hasn't gotten to it yet, but they also found needle marks. Remember that too, okay? There were needle marks found. Oh, okay. Critical. I just saw that. Interesting. I'll have to look into that. Thanks for the info. Well, yeah, but it's weird, Doxme. Just wait, watch and listen to this.
As if he had been strangled, but there was no ligature marks at all on his body. So it was maybe somebody held a pillow over his head, something like that. Robert also had multiple needle puncture marks on his body, in his neck, in his chest, on his feet, as if somebody had been injecting him, maybe with something. Now, the medical examiner, when they were making all these findings, they asked, you know, the paramedics. Paramedics said it didn't do it. The doctors at the hospital where Robert would be pronounced dead, they didn't do it. His wife, Catherine Yu, she was asked, has Robert undergone any kind of medical procedures lately? She would say no. No, and I mean, needle marks don't last that long, so they must have happened, like, that night, we can presume. He was screened for various drugs. Nothing was in his system at all. They screened for GHB, which would be something.
So hear that clearly. There was multiple puncture wound marks from needle, right? But when they did the toxicology report, there was no drugs found in his system. So if he was injected with something, it would be something that would either not be traceable or something that would go away very quickly, which is so strange to me. So strange to me. Cap makes a good point here, guys, and this is a true point. If there's no blood, the wounds would be post-mortem. Okay, this is strange. And I was thinking that it's possible that he was either a towel was held over his throat or his mouth or something, maybe, possibly. There was quite a bit of strangeness here. This was also within 89 minutes of him arriving to the house. Yes. Mind you, take that into account, what JC just said. All of this all happened within 89 minutes. Not even the full 90 minutes of him being at their home. They didn't sit and talk or do, I mean, all of this happened all like boom, 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 and was done. It's crazy. Insane. It was something that would not show up in the talks. Yeah. And that's what my thought was too, knowing what I know about EMS and stuff like that. He was injected with something that, so whoever did it knew that it couldn't show up in the toxicology report. So they injected him with something, whoever did, that won't show up in a toxicology report. This was, it was almost like it was severely premeditated, if you get what I'm saying. Okay. Like the whole thing was a super huge plan that all took place in 80 some odd minutes. End of story. This is crazy, you guys. It's beyond crazy. Moving on. Yes, thank you, JC. This went on from the period of time that he got there until this. So we're here from 10:30 p.m. until 11:51. So a little bit over an hour, a little less than an hour and a half. All of that took place. How crazy is that?
We commonly see that knocks people out, date rape drug. No, wasn't found in the system. Benzos, opiates, meth, nothing. Now, of course, he may have been drugged, but it was either something they didn't test for, or it could have been something that just broke down, so that by the time they were testing for it, it didn't show up. Then they did a sex kit on him, and I'm trying to choose my words very, very carefully here because this is kind of like sensitive. They checked his bits.
He was found to be sexually assaulted badly. Okay. And so, yeah, I don't know what he's going to say exactly, but yes, he was found to be sexually assaulted there as well.
His outside bits and his, inside bits. And they found DNA inside his butt. man-only DNA, if you know what I'm saying. So they were like, okay, this is clearly he's been like sexually assaulted and murdered. But the DNA they found inside him was his own DNA. What the fuck? It was as if he had sexually assaulted himself. Robert had come to this house.
Anybody? Anybody? Anybody at all? I want somebody to tell me how this happened. The DNA that was found within himself was his own DNA. Yeah. And that's true too, what she said. And at one point within the call, Victor randomly goes, "What time is it?" That is very, very random and weird. Thank you. Thank you. That's why I showed this one to you guys today, because I was just like, I remember seeing this a long time ago, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I forgot. And then I was going through some stuff last night. I went, oh, yeah. I still don't understand this. I'll never understand this. Obviously, and you'll find out some other stuff coming up, but still, this is just wild to me.
It's been incapacitated somehow and then been tortured to death. The wounds on him would have been extremely painful. No two ways about it. I mean, just to even think about what he would have been going through in his final moments. Best not, actually. Now, spit take on that, don't. It was scary. It was almost like ritualistic, what had been done to his body. But where had this happened? He had bled a lot, but there was almost no blood in the room where he had been.
It's okay, guys. We're adults. It wasn't that bad either. Wasn't that bad. Well, that's another good question, Mikey. That's another good question. What were the 3 occupations of the 3 men in the house? That's a very good question. A question I brought to myself. Yeah, there's just that. Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, I looked at this a lot too, JC. There's a lot that just really, every time you look at another piece of information, you're going, what? 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 Wait, what? The whole time, that's what I've been doing as I was watching this and reading this, the article on this. It's crazy. It just doesn't make any sense. And you're constantly trying to figure out how that could be this or that. And then it takes you into another part of this, and you're like, wait a minute. The Joseph, I thought I said that earlier, was another lawyer. Okay. Joseph Price. I wasn't sure of the other 2. I never did find their actual, what they did for a living. So maybe JC knows that. I didn't. But Joseph Price was an attorney, just like Robert was. So
only a couple of spots, so that's not that. And then the guys who were there were acting. Frankly, the guys were acting scary. Now I'm going to get into each of them, and I'm not going to shit talk any of them. Okay, I take that back. I might shit talk them a little bit, but each of their stories sort of matched, and they also were all pretty interesting fellows. First up was Joseph Price. When the police began speaking with him, Joseph Price was kind of eager to speak for all 3 of them. Now, I'm going to go through each man's background and police interview, but it's important to note that Joseph
Price was an attorney, though, so that's in turn probably why he was trying to speak for everybody. So there's that.
Price was an attorney, so it would make sense he would kind of be the one who would want to speak for all.
I'm just going to be quiet and let him
do the talking and maintain, just as Victor had done on that 911 call, that an intruder, masked man, must have come in and done this to Robert. So then each of them were separated, taken to the police station.
And that's exactly it, Cap. It almost sounds like that was done purposely. You know what I'm saying? That maybe whatever he was injected with stopped his heart so that there was no pumping. And then they did what they did to him. In turn, there would be no mess. Okay? It's been done before. I'm telling you, I've seen this before. But to go through the extreme, what you did, it sounds like it was so pre-planned. Okay? But all this happened in an hour and a half. So, yeah, I agreed with this one here, Cap. I did. Oh, 100%. I would have 100% walked in. If I would have walked into a scene like that, I'd have been right on my radio having PD respond to that immediately. Which PD should respond anyway if it was a stabbing. They should have been there automatically anyway. They didn't say anything about that, but they should have been there, in my opinion. That's how that works. And typically we won't go into a scene. And maybe they were there and they just weren't talking about it, but Typically, EMS does not walk into a scene that is considered a murder per se without law enforcement there first. We're not allowed to. The scene has to be secured by law enforcement, so on and so forth. If it's said that somebody was stabbed, that's protocol. End of story. They have to go in, secure the scene, and make sure that the person, first of all, is not still there. Second of all, things have to be dealt with, okay? And they have to secure everything. So there's that too. So that was one thing that was lacking from the story that I wasn't sure of.
That night. Now, they weren't, detained or anything. They were all free to leave during these police interviews, but they just decided to stick around and yap away. So Joseph Price was Robert's old friend from college. He was 35 years old at the time, an attorney with Arndt Fox, a law firm in DC. He made partner in 2006, the year all of this occurred. Look at you. He specialized in trademark and copyright law and had represented some major clients. He was also very active in gay rights and that sort of thing, advocacy.
Door, fingerprinting that knife. I mean, somebody jumped our fence and went through that door. You said, tell you what I know. We have an alarm system. The alarm was not on, but it has a function where the doors chime if you open the doors, whether the alarm or not. After Robert was there, we had drinks around the sink. Went upstairs, we showed Robert where the shower was, where the bathroom was. Right down the hall, here's your bed. We already made out the pull-out bed for him. We said goodnight. He said he was going to take a shower right then. It was all sticky. I went upstairs, saw the last 5 minutes of the show, and then started watching the first 10 minutes of some other thing on Spike TV. And I knew Victor was getting annoyed that I wasn't turning off the TV, so I turned it off and we went to sleep.
His statement was that they were falling asleep, they heard the door chime, then they heard some grunts, they went down, they found Robert.
So Victor and I both jump out of bed, we run downstairs. There's, the stairs end at the door. I see the doors open, I see Robert is laying there. The bed cover is pulled back. He's laying there. There is blood on him.
No, he said that he showed him where the shower was in case, because he was all sticky, probably from the heat or something. SRB is what I'm guessing. It was before he took a shower, not after.
His hand was out, one arm was out like this and one arm was like this, I think, or somewhere across his body. And there was a knife. I believe it was laying on him, on his stomach or something like that.
He said he found that knife on Robert's chest, picked it up, accidentally getting my own fingerprints on it, then left it on the nightstand, though he would later change that to he pulled the knife out of Robert's body and then left it on the nightstand, which, I mean, you'd think you'd remember the difference between just picking it up or...
And once again, this man's an attorney. He knows you're not allowed to do that, okay? If there was a knife in the body and you contacted EMS, so on and so forth, you don't touch the knife. You leave that up to them, because that could be keeping the person alive if it's in there, okay? If it nicked an artery or something like that, it could be holding the person from bleeding out. Understand that, folks. You don't pull that out. You leave that alone until you're told, or until EMS arrives and they handle that situation themselves. Whether they leave it in, we've taken people to the hospital that have stabbed themselves and cut main arteries and veins, where that stays there until, the hospital or whatever says this is what we're going to do, because that could be saving their life. You pull that knife, they're going to bleed to death. You see what I'm saying? That's a typical situation. Also, it's a crime scene per se, possibly. Don't forget that, okay? If law enforcement wasn't there or hadn't been there or was coming that way, if it's a crime scene, you don't touch any of that. He's an attorney. He should know that of anybody, but you don't do that. So the man pulled the knife out and laid it on the nightstand. After cleaning it, we've heard, because there were, towel fibers all over it. Yeah. So there's that.
I picked up the knife, I moved it, I lifted up his shirt, and I could clearly see there was one puncture wound right on his belly. I lifted up his shirt a little more. There was like a lot of blood on his chest.
Then he raised Robert's shirt to look at his wounds, and he saw Dylan come out from his bedroom at the end of the hall. So it's weird, though, that Joe and Victor, who were upstairs, would come down and find Robert, when Dylan, who was much closer, didn't. Came out last. Apparently heard nothing. Joseph said he got a towel to put pressure on Robert's wounds, which, as I already mentioned, doesn't match the blood on the towel. He would say the front door had been locked, but that may...
I'm going to tell you right now, look at the towel. There's blood here, a tiny, tiny bit there, and a tiny, tiny, not even there. 3 wounds. These are mortal wounds, mind you, that he was bleeding profusely from, okay, because they hit a main artery. That towel would be completely and totally soaked in red. It absolutely would be. Not just that little blotch right there. I don't care how much pressure you're holding on it. It's still going to bleed through it and soak the whole thing. And they were told to float it up and move it around and all that other stuff. Okay, I'm just saying, that right there is not what that towel was used for. That would have been completely and totally engulfed with blood, folks, just so you know. Like Steve Irwin, if he didn't pull the stinger out of his chest, oh yeah, he would have completely survived, because as soon as he pulled that out of his chest, he bled out completely. That's one thing you never do, just for future reference. If you ever accidentally do it or something, you come on that, don't ever touch it. Let medical personnel handle it, because you don't know what to do. Absolutely not. I see you. Oh, this was in DC, guys. Washington, DC. I'm sorry. So I didn't see your question back there. So yes, it was Washington, DC. Well, thank you, Paula. I'm sure they appreciate that very much. So moving on. But again, get a good look at this towel. This is a towel. There's no way this was used to hold pressure on that or anything like that. It would have been completely soaked. Not that tiny little spit of blood there. Those 3 little dots, which I question those 3 dots too. What was that right there? Those are perfect little dots. Something's weird with that too. And then just that little blemish there and there. Come on. This is a white towel. Nope. Nope. No. This is something's bullshit about this all the way around.
Maybe the back door had been left unlocked, so this could be how this mystery intruder got in.
Is he homosexual?
No, not gay. Never has been. Didn't think about it. No drugs, no booze, nothing. Robert was like the best, absolutely straight A, no nonsense guy I ever met.
Joe, however, would say there was not a chance in hell Dylan would hurt anyone, nor Victor.
Like I said, I know Victor and Dylan better than I know them other. There's no chance on the face of this earth that either one of them could, punch someone, never mind, kill someone. It's ridiculous. And you guys are focusing on us.
No,
this did not happen.
We focusing on facts.
I know. You guys have to look at jobs.
So all we can look at is what we know, what we see.
So long as someone's dusting the back door and all that kind of stuff, I know you guys will find evidence. There was somebody else in our house. I know. I heard the chime.
Yeah. You heard the chime. Was that the person leaving?
No, I believe it was the person coming in, because then I hear the grunting and stuff later.
You're not sure how much later.
I know I didn't fall back to sleep.
Wait, you heard the chime on the door. Somebody comes in. Did you hear a scream or anything like that?
No.
You heard no scream.
I heard the chime, and it was quiet. That's I don't know how long. Maybe it was a minute, 2, 3, 4. I just woke up. I'm thinking, oh, Sarah came home, and I roll back over.
Your floors, the stairs, they're hardwood, right? So you would think that if somebody was going down the stairs, even if somebody was running down the stairs, you better hit that, right?
During the interview, he seemed very concerned with Dylan, asking to see him multiple times and asking if he had been let out yet, seemingly less concerned with his partner, Victor.
This is one of my oldest friends. What on earth would possess me to do such a thing? Never mind, could I do it? It's crazy.
The whole thing is crazy. Yeah.
The guy ain't supposed to be staying over at your house tonight. That's crazy. That doesn't make any sense.
But just ask his wife if he was planning to. I can show you the emails right here, probably. I got my BlackBerry. This is from my work account.
Well, maybe he's thinking about doing a little experimentation. I don't
know.
Why
If
not?
that were
Why
true,
not?
I would tell you guys.
Why would you?
Because
Why?
Because why not tell you? I mean, my God, I want you to find who did this.
So what I'm asking you is, where'd this guy go?
I believe he ran out of the house.
Between the grunting and you running down the stairs, which happened like.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yes.
that's fast.
I agree with you. Look, it's a crazy. I mean, why didn't he? Why wasn't the
you would
back
think-
door
you
wide
would think
open?
that you
Why
would-
wasn't the gate wide open? Why didn't he go out the front door?
Yeah, but you would think that you would run into this guy, or you would see this guy running.
Yeah, maybe.
Because you said seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it really was.
Not minutes, seconds.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
you
right.
didn't hear anybody running down the stairs or anything.
I did.
So what makes you think it's a burglary if you didn't hear anybody?
Because he knows in his heart couldn't be Victor and it couldn't be Dylan.
I know it's you guys don't know it's from Adam, so who knows? We could all be crazy as links, but all I can tell you is it wasn't one of them. It wasn't me. We have no reason on earth to do this. I mean, I know Robert's whole family. I mean,
I got 3 homosexuals in a house, and I got 1 straight guy. What's he doing over there? What is he doing over there? I think we're all drinking wine. You know what's going to happen tonight? You're coming to Jesus tonight. That's what's going on.
That's fascinating and insulting and offensive.
Here we go.
and
That's
everything
why you made me say it.
But you know what? That's not what happened.
You don't
Robert's
know?
happily married. I do know that.
No, but Dylan's not happily married, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, to you?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why you're upstairs with Victor.
Yeah.
He's downstairs with Robert.
He wasn't
Real,
down.
man.
He wasn't down there with Robert.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, come on.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I do know.
No, you don't, because you're upstairs and you can't sing.
I
You
can't.
wanna, but you don't know.
That's just not even possible. We didn't do it. I found Robert laying on my couch. It is as bizarre to me as if I found a hippo in my house. It is absolutely unbelievable. And nobody did.
Victor was Joseph's long-term partner by almost a decade. By the time we get to our story here, he worked in marketing. It was like a marketing manager, consultant, something. Milk, if you can believe that was his game, the Got Milk campaign. That was him. So it's fair to say Victor Zaworski, fairly successful guy.
So what you're basically telling me, and we went over this earlier, is somebody came in your house. What you believe somebody came in your house through your back door. Well, first of all, over your fence, over your high fence. How high is that? 8 feet higher?
Probably 9 foot.
Okay, 9 foot wood fence in the back. In through your back door, took a knife out of your butcher's block off the counter in your kitchen. Went up to the 2nd floor and stabbed Robert and left the knife there, then left.
Yeah, Joe's very dramatic. Just very, very dramatic, and just he's interesting. And they did debunk the burglary story. That's been debunked. That's true too. So there's that. So you guys get that too. And of course, they went with the experimental thing. That was talked about. You heard that. So I'm just saying.
Left without taking anything, without anybody seeing anyone.
That's what I think happened.
There's the problem. Where's a motive? Give a motive for this. There was nothing stolen. Nobody else was attacked. Nothing changed. Nothing. It was a super clean scene. So where's a motive for this? Explain that one. There isn't one. Victor would be the guy to get. Wait. Victor would be the guy to get to squeal, as he was the one who called. And while I thought he sounded disingenuous, he was legit scared of someone there. Probably. That would be, I could see that too. Don't dox me.
I think it was probably they were coming in to rob us, and
Why didn't they take anything then if they were coming in to rob you? Why didn't they go to that first bedroom?
And I don't know.
Let me ask you this. Did Dylan kill Robert?
No.
How do you know that?
I know Dylan. He's not a violent person. He's one of the nicest, sweetest people I've ever met.
Did you kill him? Yeah. You didn't kill him?
No, I did not kill him.
No reason to?
No reason to kill him.
What about Paul? I'm sorry, what about Joseph?
Absolutely not. He was with me.
Yeah, that's quite a mystery we got working here. This is a good one. I mean, 4 guys in the house, 1 guy ends up dead, the other 3, I'm saying I didn't do it, and the other persons didn't do it. But then we have no evidence of any type of forced entry or anything like that.
Sorry, guys, I didn't say that. This is Victor, the other partner to Joseph. My apologies for not letting you guys know that. Thank you, JC. Also, this camera footage is horrible. It pops in all the problems with it, so.
His statement to the police was sort of, interesting, in that Victor Zaworski wasn't even supposed to be in the house that night. He had actually been on a business trip, but had come home early from that business trip, and that's why he was there. He didn't even meet Robert that night. He was in bed, probably exhausted from said business trip. Then he was awoken to a low scream or grunts. Pretty much then it follows much the same as Joseph's story. But he would say that as they were going downstairs, they heard another scream, which Joseph didn't mention. And then more grunts. They went down there, found Robert.
That woke me was like a breathy kind of, but it was loud. And so I jumped up. Joe jumped up beside me. We're both sort of, what is that? What is that? We run to the door of our bedroom and opened the door, and we heard another kind of grunt, and flipped the switch on in the hallway, and we both start running down the stairs, and Joe was just in front of me. And then we got to the doorway of the office and saw Robert laying on the bed, and I just freaked out. His eyes were rolled back. He looked very pale.
Didn't hear or see anyone running away or doors slamming. He would say he became pretty hysterical and was ordered by Joseph to go upstairs and call 911, conspicuously leaving Joseph and Dylan, who were in a sadomasochistic relationship, not that there's really anything to do with anything, but you never know, leaving them alone with the body. The police were fairly confident they could break Victor.
Whatever happened between the people in that house. Nobody broke into that house. That didn't happen. We know that for sure. Now, there's one person that's going to be guilty of murder for stabbing Robert. Anybody that tries to cover up for him is going to be just as guilty and charged just as if they stabbed him. You're shaking your head, but I'm telling you that's absolute truth. That's what's going to happen.
A friend of ours died tonight.
A friend of yours was murdered tonight. He didn't die. He didn't just die. He was murdered. Somebody stabbed him with a knife from that kitchen. And you know who that someone was.
I do not.
Yes, you do.
I do.
Yes, you do.
I do not.
Yes, you do. You certainly do know.
I do not.
You do know. And the further down the road you go with this, the worse it's going to be. Absolutely nobody broke in that house. One of you in that house killed him. Yes. One of you killed him. Maybe you. One of you killed him.
They didn't break him. If there was anything to be broken. And then finally we get to Dylan, who seems kind of like the wild card here. Definitely a different mold than the other two, who were like these big, accomplished businessmen who had all the awards and the yada, yada, yada. Dylan was like completely different. He was the son of a doctor, the oldest of 5 kids from Tacoma, Washington. He had studied foreign policy while in college, essentially international relations. So he studied foreign policy. Then he went to the Culinary Institute of America, where, you know, if you're going to become a chef, Anthony Bourdain went there. Then he moved to Taiwan, and he wrote children's books, if you can believe that, with stunning titles, such as The House of the Tiger Ant, The Worst Ghost Month Ever, and The Library of Dreams. Then he moved to DC, rented a basement apartment from Joseph and Victor, entered a relationship with Joseph from then, and then the three of them moved into this house. And as I said, his relationship with Joseph was that Dylan was like the dominant one, and Joseph was like his Subway sandwich. Most recently, at this point in time, 2006, he was now working as a massage therapist.
You, Sergeant Wagner, supervisor here. This is Detective Norris. They're all in the squad working on this matter. It's troubled. What's that? Very troubled. Yes. I have to be honest and fair with you. I don't believe we'll get the truth here.
Everyone keeps telling me that. I don't know why.
Well, big part. One or more of you three established.
I can't believe that. I really can't believe that. If it's one of the other guys, I will be completely shocked.
Very different life to the others, a bit of a travel bug or whatever, and certainly less stable than the other two.
This guy's perfectly straight, and he's gonna leave his wife for the night and come over to y'all's house. He's not perfectly straight. That's not something a straight guy would do.
He was working late. He was probably taking the metro, and he didn't want to go all the way back up.
If there's some reason that it happened or whatever like that, and you know, maybe one of the other guys did it and you're in on this.
I'm not in on anything. I was in bed. As far as I know, they were in bed too.
He would say that while he was in the room across the hall from Robert's, he heard Robert go have a shower, then Robert go into his room. He said he heard the latch on Robert's door, so that would lead you to believe Robert's door was locked. Then he said he fell asleep. Next thing he knew, he heard some commotion outside in the hall, and he opened the door, saw the scene. He too was questioned, remained fairly silent. Didn't know what. The police were suspicious of him the most, and they actually polygraphed him, asking, did he kill Robert, or did he know who did? He failed both of those questions.
What do you think should happen to, if it is one of your friends, what do you think should happen?
No, there should be a trial. I mean, there has to be an investigation and a trial to figure out what happened.
Okay. I just find it hard to believe that this guy...
I don't know if you caught that, but he failed the polygraph. I know that that's inadmissible and it's junk science. We've all talked about that. But he did fail. Those two questions right there, especially, is what Mike said. Realize that. So there's that too.
We've never done this before. All of a sudden, comes over to your house, sleeps over your house, and the night that he decides to sleep over your house, there's a burglary that comes in there and kills Robbie.
The police then spoke with the next door neighbor, and funnily enough, the next door neighbor was in the room that shared a wall with Robert's room, and they would say that sometime between 11 and 11:30 p.m. they heard a scream coming from Robert's room. Now, the call to 911 wasn't made till 11:50, so the timeline here now is even starting to get... Somebody's telling fucking lying son of a bitch here. They did speak with the tenant who lived in the basement apartment. She said she had been out all night. So if that security doorbell chimed, it wasn't her coming in. Now, every entry point to the home was examined. I'm talking the whole kit and caboodle. There was the front entrance, the rear entrance, the rooftop, the one that led to the basement apartment. None had any signs of forced entry whatsoever. Nothing was disturbed and nothing was missing. Did I say nothing was missing? I'm the one telling lies, because shit was missing. The police were searching the house, and in Dylan's room, the little hoarder, little squirreler away that he was, they found a cutlery set with big-ass knives. Boop, boop, boop. One of the knives was missing. The knife that was missing would more matched the wounds that were made to Robert's body from the length of the blade. As I said, the one that was found in the room seemed too long to have been done to Robert. You know what I mean. So the missing knife, which seemed more likely to be the murder weapon, was not found in the house. In fact, that knife has never been found. They did sweep the house for drugs. The only thing they found, again, and Dirty Dylan over here, they found ecstasy in his bedroom, and Dirty Dylan times two. In Dylan's bedroom, they found a shitload of sex toys, and I'm talking like hardcore. I couldn't believe this shit. My innocence is ruined reading about this case. They found shock devices, stun guns, gas masks, all types of things to hold you down, hold you open, gas masks that you could pee into. I'll end it there. The people who meant this shit could probably build a rocket ship that goes to the moon. It's crazy. I don't know how they come up with this shit. They also brought a cadaver dog into the house because, again, the police still had no idea where...
Trigger warning. Content may include sensitive or violent content not suitable for all viewers. Feel free to step out if needed.
Sorry, I was a little bit late, but still, I want to throw it in.
Robert had been killed. There would have been so much blood from the wounds that were made to him. It didn't seem like it could have happened in the room he was staying in. But there was nowhere else in the house it also could have happened. The cadaver dog led to 2 spots, though. It smelled to train dead bodies and for blood. It led to the lint trap in the washer-dryer unit they had. It also then led to a drain in their backyard. But they dug up the drain. Nothing. A hose was nearby, though, that looked like it had been used recently, but that must have been a hell of a hose because they could not find anything. Now, get this. They did use luminol searching the house to try and find any blood spots. Now, it wasn't exactly luminol. It was a substance very similar. But, you spray it, you use UV light, and you should be able to detect DNA and blood and that sort of thing. But the police really effed this up the A, let me tell you. The police were using the luminol substance wrong. They used it incorrectly. You were supposed to use this type of one down, like on horizontal surfaces, on flat surfaces, because if you use this spray thing on vertical surfaces, it would drip down and essentially destroy any DNA it would drip down over. They were using it on vertical surfaces, so basically anything that would have lit up was completely destroyed by the use of this blood detection device. So, way to go. Look at you. So all 3 men were saying the other, couldn't have done it. No, none of us could have done this. I didn't do it. None of the others could have either. But at the same time, there was no evidence of an intruder. The police examined the home for 3 weeks. Basically everything I just had laid out for you. They were full sure as shit, no shit, that this had been heavily tampered with. They removed all of the drains. They demolished walls. Looked behind them. Found nothing. Weirdly, 3 months later, Michael Price, the brother of Joseph Price, was arrested for breaking into the house to steal shit that night, steal electronics, like stole a TV and like $7,000 worth of electronics. He was arrested for the burglary charges, but those charges were later dropped. Now, Michael Price is a character who only briefly comes up in this story, but he's a pretty interesting guy in his own right. Basically because he would have had a key, he would have had an entry point to the house. This was something Joseph Price never mentioned, that his brother also had a key to that home, so he would have been able to get in without forcing an entry. Also, he was studying to be a phlebologist, that word, at the time, and he had classes in the evenings. He just somehow missed the class the very evening of the murder when he attended every other class, but they would say, oh, he was visiting family. He actually had an alibi that kind of stood up pretty good. In the months that followed, the 3 men moved to Florida, Miami-Dade County area, and they seemed to be trying to put all of this behind them. That was until autumn 2008, when Dylan Ward was charged. The following month, Joseph and Victor were also charged. All 3 were charged with obstruction of justice and later charged with conspiracy. So not murder. Basically, if you look through the affidavit, it doesn't say who murdered Robert Wone, or even that they did, but that they had certainly manipulated the scene, delayed calling the cops, and that they were lying like a rug. The knife they said did it probably didn't do it. It had just been smeared with Robert's blood, while the knife that more than likely did it was from Dylan's room and now it was missing. Though they didn't find any drugs in Robert's system, doesn't mean there wasn't any. And as there was no defensive marks on Robert Wone's body, it was likely he had been incapacitated somehow. It didn't seem like he'd been restrained, like physically restrained, as there would have been like bruising and stuff like that. So either he'd been incapacitated more than likely with drugs, or perhaps maybe with a stun gun or something like that. And even though they were still saying Joe,
I was thinking about the fact that Dylan was a massage therapist. And some of the massage therapists use acupuncture. And there's certain things you can do with acupuncture that can paralyze the body. That's just a little bit of a thought. I'm reaching, I know, but this doesn't make sense. None of this, okay? Being that they didn't find drugs, I was wondering if maybe there was something like that done, maybe. I don't know. But again, we only had an hour and a half to do all this in. Remember that, okay? So there's that too. She said, what in the haunted crack house? That's hilarious. He liked to work with needles. Perfect, right? I don't know, guys. All the way around, this is insane. Dylan's mom said he gave Dylan the set for Christmas, but the knife that was missing, she kept for herself. Of course she said that. Just to protect her baby, I'm sure.
So Victor and Dylan always saying there was an intruder. There must have been. Never any evidence that there was an intruder in the home.
The trial begins tomorrow in a high-profile murder case that turned a DuPont Circle townhouse into the center of a mystery. Joseph Price, Victor Zaborski, and Dylan Ward are charged with obstruction of justice, not murder. Investigators believe the three men who lived in the house on Swan Street know who killed their housemate Robert Wone, but they have not told investigators. Wone was stabbed 3 times. The housemates say an intruder killed them.
The trial for the three men began in June 2010, and it lasted a little over a week. It was not a jury trial, it was the judge's decision, and at the end, each man was found not guilty. The judge would say that although she believed they knew who murdered Robert Wone, she could not say that it had been proven beyond a reasonable doubt that they had tampered with the scene and led to, the obstruction of justice charge. So basically, she was saying, you guys know who did it. More than likely, one of you did do it, but the charges that you've been charged with, they haven't been proven. I can still find gaps in the prosecution's case. Basically, it's like, come on now. One of the major things that actually convinced the judge that they hadn't tampered with the scene was the knife that was found at the scene. The defense's blood pattern expert was able to say that, oh no, that knife had been used. That it wasn't the secret knife that Dylan had gone missing. That knife they found had more than likely been the one that had been used to kill, so therefore they didn't have more to scene. They didn't hide any other knife or switch another knife out. Basically, the whole depth and length of the knife and depth of the wounds. The defense's blood expert said, oh yeah, that could have been done. The only thing that's missing, though, is that t-shirt fibers from Robert's t-shirt were still never found on that knife, so it still doesn't conclusively prove that that knife was used. It seems to be like kind of the flimsiest of all the arguments, to be honest with you. It also doesn't explain why one of Dylan's knives was missing. After the men were each found not guilty, they returned to Florida. Joseph Price changed his name to Joseph Anderson. Dylan Ward changed his name to Dylan Thomas. Joseph left his law firm and got a job with an immigrant advocacy group in Miami. Dylan became a Pilates instructor. Victor didn't change his name and continued working for the same marketing company he had before. Dylan would later marry someone else. Joseph and Victor, they would later split up, recently enough that is, and go their separate ways. Shortly after the three men's acquittal, Robert's wife, Catherine, she would file a wrongful death lawsuit against Joseph Price, Victor Zaborski, and Dylan Ward. The civil suit would last a couple of years, and Catherine would say it wasn't about the money. She was hoping that the civil suit for wrongful death would reveal more information about what had actually happened and ideally lead to a criminal case against the men. However, the suit was settled in August 2011 out of court for an undisclosed sum and agreement. So that means that now all three of the former defendants are all living their own separate lives. Now, of course, let's get into what possibly could have happened with the asterisks in Minecraft, of course. And everything I'm about to say now is a complete joke, and I'm not serious about this at all. This is pure speculation, just jokey jokes. Come on. There's really only 2 theories you can talk about, because it's pretty obvious he didn't do it to himself. He was always described as a very happy guy, and it's not like he would, S.A. himself. So that leaves the intruder theory, or more likely the one we're all thinking of, which is that one or more of the men inside the home tortured and then brutally murdered Robert Wone. The intruder theory is sort of interesting. It's sort of interesting in the fact that there's really nothing there. No evidence someone broke in, nothing was stolen. Though the defendants say it was an intruder, they also said they never heard anybody. They never saw anybody. They didn't hear doors slam. They just arrived moments later and, you think you'd hear something. Plus, Robert was surely incapacitated in some manner, so if an intruder broke in, Robert probably would have been, oh, hey, what are you doing here? He probably likely defended himself in some way. He would have had bruises or marks on him somewhere. Plus, an intruder wouldn't have had the time to do what was done. Plus, an intruder would have had to have walked past Dylan's room to get to Robert's room. No sign of forced entry. The front door was locked. The back door was unlocked, but there was a gate which remained locked that showed no signs of disturbance. It's been theorized that perhaps one of the men unlocked the back door to give the intruder, quote unquote, an entry point, but they forgot to unlock the gate outside. They had a little fence out back. There was no sign that somebody had, no disturbance out there as in somebody had jumped over the fence. The only thing of note with that is that the next door neighbor who shared a back fence with these lads would say that in their backyard, they had a little sand pit. So it was basically, one of those like those soft plastic turtles, and it's in sand, and then you can put a turtle shell, soft plastic turtle shell on top of it to cover it up. And it's for toddlers and infants and that sort of thing. They would say that the next day after the murder, the turtle shell that had been on it, it was like dented in, as in somebody had stood on it to get over the fence into the guy's house. But that never really went anywhere, and the police kind of shrugged that off pretty quickly. Maybe tunnel vision, maybe it could have gone somewhere. We don't know. Regardless, nothing ever came of it, and that could have happened 6 ways from Sunday. And the stab wounds that were done to Robert Wone's body, they seem to have been done with such, I guess the word is care and precision. They were done almost like gently. There was no tearing. They weren't like vicious stabs. They weren't done in anger. It was almost like, okay, if we have to kill somebody as quickly as possible, here is where we will stab them because we want to put them out of their misery. Surgically done, not like an intruder. If one of, or more than one of the men possibly did it, and I'm not saying they did do it, but what if one of them did it, I guess it would probably more than likely have been Dylan. Not that I'm saying he did it. He was right across the hall from Robert, and he was also proven like into sadism and all that stuff, judging by the shit they found in his bedroom. And also the possible murder weapon more than likely also came from his room. So perhaps he snuck in and tortured Robert using the various implements that he had. Though then how he would even get in there without Robert fighting back remains a mystery. However, would he, perhaps with the needle marks in Robert's body, drug him with a needle? Perhaps he put something in the glass of water that Robert had when he arrived. Maybe for some reason Robert let him in. Now I've seen some speculation online that Robert was like secretly gay or bi, at least, and that maybe, this whole thing had been planned with him staying over. I mean, the police in interviews were like, no way a straight guy would crash in the house of two gay guys. What are you talking about? Doesn't seem to be the case at all. Robert's very happily married. Nobody ever said he had any inclination towards being gay or anything like that at all. So I don't think Robert would have, either done something willingly or let somebody inject him willingly. So whatever happened to him must have been done in such a way where he was out of it, paralyzed in some way before he even knew it. Dylan makes the most sense out of the tree. He does something to Robert. He runs back into his room. Joe and Victor come down. Joe sees what's going on, tells Victor to go back upstairs to call the police, because Joe told Victor to go and call the police from the upstairs phone when there was a phone in Robert Wone's room that I also could have just called the police from. But maybe Joe wanted to get Victor out of the area so he could talk to Dylan because he knew maybe that Dylan had done something. But let's suggest for a second that maybe Robert was secretly gay or bi or something like that. Maybe this was all planned but went awry somehow. Victor wasn't supposed to be there that night. He just came home early from a business trip. Maybe Joe and Dylan had planned something, either planned to do something to Robert, or Robert knew that this was going to happen. No way, not this was going to happen, but something was going to happen. Maybe it was some kind of bondage play gone wrong, and Robert was either a willing or unwilling participant. Perhaps the injection marks that were all over Robert's body, they weren't from something being put into Robert. They were from blood being taken out of Robert for some kind of kink or something. The burst blood vessels in his eyes would also suggest something kind of BDSM choking thing. Again, there was no ligature marks, but maybe it was done in such a way where it wouldn't leave marks. Some kind of BDSM play is really the only way that you can explain his own DNA being found inside of him. Like nothing else makes sense, unless it was like his own DNA was like forced in. I don't know. This doesn't make sense at all. Perhaps it was something like that, but it all just went too far. See, when you go through all of the theories in this case, none of them really make sense, and you can find flaws with every single one, because this entire case makes no sense, and you can see why it would be controversial. Because whether he was willing or unwilling, at the end of the day, he was wearing his night guard the entire time. Which, if he was into BDSM, I can't imagine night guards are the sexiest thing in the world. So, I don't know. So I don't think it's that. but I can't find any other explanation for this. And then to bring it to a close, Robert was always described as a great guy, great husband, an advocate for his community, for civil liberties, for all of that sort of stuff. Really tragically taken in one of the most traumatic and horrific ways, and in a way that still has no answers. You know, almost 20 years later, we still don't know what happened to him. It's a tragic story. Nobody wins here. I mean, except the person who should be in prison and is not. Let me know what your thoughts on this case are and who you think could have done it, and what your theories are on what really happened and who really murdered Robert Wone. I mean, you know, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and in this story, we have 3, and none are talking.
I'll do it. Thank you, Mike, again. Wild stuff, guys. Give me one quick second. I have to grab some. All right, sorry about that. So, again, that one there, I've looked at it every 3 different ways for Sunday, folks, and I can't really come up with a complete, total how this happened situation. It's very strange, okay? I definitely have my feelings about Dylan. Yes. I also have feelings about all 3 of them, possibly. One thing I will say is I don't think that Robert deserved nor expected any of it. Okay, I do believe it was planned out, because I believe that he had let Joe know earlier on in the day that he was planning on staying there because he had to work late. That gives time to plan something, you know, for them. But why? What's the damn motive? You know what I mean? Was this some kind of a BDSM thing that went bad? Yeah, possibly. He said Dylan had all sorts of toys, things that could have been used for something. I'm not going to degrade Robert's legacy or his memory by saying that he was anything other than himself. That's not my right to do that. So, and I don't know who Robert was in that way. He was from what's been stated, he was very good with him, and his wife had a great relationship and all that kind of stuff. So there's that too. JC said, I have way feelings about Dylan and Joe, not so much Victor. Yeah, I don't know about Victor either. I don't think Victor, I don't feel like Victor knew a lot of anything. He was sleeping. Maybe he didn't even know this was happening, you know? Are you still here, Mama Bear, or did you have to step away? It looks like she had to step away. JC, are you here or are you at work? You said you wanted to tell me something. You're welcome to join me for a minute if you'd like to. And give me your thoughts on this since you knew the case so well. Hold on here. There we go. You have there's a link in Discord, JC, if you want to join me real quick. You're welcome to pop up here and we can talk about it a little bit. But both of these cases are very strange. Robert Wone's case is very, very strange, and I really would like to see an outcome for both of these for the families. Robert's wife deserves answers to this, of course. And Rebecca's family deserves answers to, you know, as we see with all these cases. But this second one, I'm completely like, I thought about it for a while. I've looked at this before, like I said, and I've talked about it. You know, I can't quite put it together. You know what I'm saying? I just can't quite put things together. There's different feelings and theories that I have, but they just don't go all the way through. Welcome, JC. Thank you for
Hi.
joining. How are you?
I'm okay.
So, what do you think?
Okay, so Glenn Kirshner, who's the prosecuting attorney, spoke at CrimeCon,
Right.
and I actually talked to him afterwards, and I said, my first theory. I mean, at first, when I first started going to this case, my first theory was Joe did it. Okay. Then when I get to like more into it, I'm like, okay, Joanne Dillon did it. But then there's also the real, like, now, like, my number one thing is I think Dillon did it.
Right. Hold on, JC, 1 second. What's up, Critical? I see your question there. What's going on? What can I do for you? Hold on, JC. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
See, I really feel like it was Dillon too. That's my biggest thing too. But
I think it was one of them two or them two together. There is a possibility that all three of them could have done it, but I highly doubt Victor for some reason.
if Victor was involved, he was brought in towards the end of it. Yes.
Yes. And but then again, like, why did Victor in the 911 call, why did he say, by the way, what time is it? Just randomly.
Right.
And that just threw Glenn really off. Like, he's like, that's really weird.
It is a strange statement to make, truly.
Yeah. And then also, so Victor has been granted immunity if he tells the truth. But if he if he is caught lying at all, then his immunity will be taken away.
That's the same immunity deal that Jennifer Soto got. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. So there's that too. And I asked Glenn at CrimeCon, I said, do you have any idea like how Kathy, Robert's wife, is doing? And he said she's doing very well. She's remarried. She has a couple kids, I think. She's happy. So that's what I was, also kind of.
Well, let me ask you this other question too. Do you think that there were, of course, there's the rumor mill and the theories and all that Robert had a secret life that he was maybe experimenting with? Because I don't, but
I don't. I really don't. I think that he was a hardworking, guy and just wanted to save some, get some extra sleep because he, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that had anything to do with it.
That's how I feel. I think he trusted his friend because they were longtime friends from college.
Yeah,
and knew that it was just a convenience for him to be able to stay there. His friend probably offered more than once in the past, okay, and said, yeah, sure, anytime you want to, so on and so forth, whatever. He called him earlier in the evening and said, hey, this is what's going to happen. I have to work over. Do you mind if I crash at your place tonight? I don't want to go home and wake Kathy up and the kids and all that. And that way I can just do what I got to do and maybe come back tomorrow. That's what I took from that. That's it. So, hold on. A case I'm personally working on is going to be on Nancy tonight. I have a short about it on my YouTube. I just need to get some coverage finally for missing Daniel Lopez. Okay. You want me to play it? Is that what you're saying? Or do you want me to advertise it? I'll do both for you, Critical. It's no big deal. And then the two of them changed their names. Yes, of course. And that's probably because of the publicity that it got, the press that was out there. They don't want anybody knowing who they are. Which, too late. But yeah. But anything you need, Critical, I'd be glad to help you with. Go ahead, JC.
But the other thing that kind of threw a loop through the whole thing was the fact that his brother didn't attend class that night.
Oh, Joe's brother?
Had a key. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, they had talked about him too because of like his history and stuff like that. And it still, why? What would be a good motive there?
But did he even know that Robert was staying the night there that night? Like,
that's what I mean. Like,
what?
Who would know that? Yeah. Robert.
Weird.
straight as an arrow and totally unsuspecting. Absolutely, he didn't drink, do drugs, do anything. He was just a good person all the way around. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't get this one. I don't know if the prosecutor is able to talk about any of that stuff. But like, did he mention anything, or did anything get talked about the puncture wounds with the needle marks and all that stuff?
just basically that the stab wounds were completely clean, like,
Yeah.
and then they also talked about how he had to have been sedated, because even if you are sleeping and not sedated and you get something like that happen to you, you're gonna jerk.
Yep, that's true.
So
It's an automatic reflex.
But okay, so I have so Dylan or Victor and Joe were upstairs in one bedroom, right?
Yeah.
And then was Dylan across the hall from them, or was he downstairs?
Dylan was on the same floor that Robert was on, directly across the hall.
Okay, this is what makes me completely suspicious of Dylan, because Dylan could have done it and then went and just hit the chime.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That's why
I'm just thinking about this, because I initially thought Dylan was upstairs across the hall from them.
No,
but he was downstairs across the hall from Robert.
Yes, that's why I went to Dylan so quickly, because think about this. All Dylan had to do is make sure that Joe and Victor were upstairs in bed, so on and so forth. Open his door. He could have actually surprised Robert, been waiting in the room like something SRB said earlier, or came in while Robert was laying in the bed and got him that way. But again, and then ran out, chimed the door, and went back to his room and laid down like he was in bed. And it would have taken him out of a second.
And then, like I said, like they said, the reason the door was left open is because when they were all like talking, like right when Robert got there, Joe went out for a smoke, saw a spider on the light lantern, went to kill it, and forgot to lock the door on his way in.
Very true. Very true. And that chime that they heard could have been Dylan, if pretending to make it sound like somebody was leaving, not coming in. And in turn, that's why there was so much time, because.
But why didn't they hear the chime twice instead of just once?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If the door was left open when like what you said with Joe, then all Dylan had to do was pull the door, let it go, and it would have chimed once, which in turn could have. They heard that one time. He could have done that in his mind to make it sound like somebody was leaving rather than coming in. And they waited because they thought it was the neighbor coming in. Okay. And that's why they didn't get up right away. So there was the time between them hearing the door chime until the uggs or whatever they heard, the growls or whatever, that all went down. So that gave Dylan time to do all that, to do what he did, and to get back in his room and laying down and sleeping. If you see what I'm saying there.
Yeah, but then the weirder thing is when EMS showed up, they all were in their towels.
Two of them had showered, and
Dylan was
across. They were all acting, and they were all acting strange. So again,
but then they said another girl came in. Was that Sarah girl? Was she a neighbor?
She was supposed to come in. She was the roommate that lived in the basement, but she never came home that night at all. And what they were saying is Joe thought that when he heard the door chime,
it was her coming in.
It was Sarah coming home, but she never did come home that night, so that's why they knew it wasn't her. After the fact, it ended up just being what I think was Dylan.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Dylan is the one that is the main suspect with this. Truly.
Yep.
I'm not going to say that I don't believe that Dylan and or Joe or all three had something to do with this, but Dylan, in my opinion, in my mind, is the one that is the one that needs to be looked into the most.
He's the ringleader.
The knife set, the culinary set, has the knife missing from it. He was right there directly across from Robert's room.
His mom said that she gave him for Christmas, but she kept the missing knife herself.
Yeah, of course she did. Of course she did. It's one of the dumbest. Some people are so stupid, but and I had a theory because I've looked at this, like I said before.
But why would if you're going to intrude someone, why would you expect to take their own set? Why wouldn't you bring your own knife with you?
That's true. That's very true. Very, very true. So maybe, and that could be the reason why the knife was changed up too. You see what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
Dylan knew he had that knife set, and if they found that knife and it showed up that it was missing from his set, it came from his set, they're going to blame him. So they had to change the knife out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And use one of those. That answers that question. And as far as motive goes, the only thing that I could possibly think of, okay, is that maybe Joe had a little thing for Robert because they knew him for so long, said he was his oldest friend. We know that Robert was straight, but Joe was not. And maybe Joe had a crush on Robert. He had talked about it. Maybe he had mentioned that he was going to try something. Who knows? Dylan and Joe were together. Okay. Maybe Dylan got jealous. And there's your answer, your motive, possibly. I don't know. This is just really, really theorizing, but it's the only thing that makes any damn sense to me whatsoever with this. Nothing makes any sense. So those are kind of my theory, but I definitely most definitely feel that Dylan is the most viable suspect in this case.
I do too. I do too.
Now, whether or not he'll ever be charged, I mean, they sure as hell knew how to clean this up and hide this the best way they could.
Well, Gwen said that since Joe and Victor have broke up, he's hoping that that one of them especially that he hopes that Victor eventually starts talking.
Yeah, and has anybody heard anything in that group from Dylan?
No. I don't know. Gwen's not done with him yet. He ain't gonna stop until he gets to the bottom of it.
I'm sure. I mean, the case is something that, look, there's obvious foul play involved, and it's obviously just like, and I'll say this, the detectives were really good. They were really good. It's obvious that, and the detective was going at them saying, listen, one of you did this. I know one of you did this. Whether you believe this or not, that one did it or that one did it or you did it or whatever did it, we know that one of you did this, if not all of you, you know?
The problem is when 3 people are involved, it's hard to say which one, or if 2, or if all 3, when they won't, they only say certain things, and
of course,
and the stories all match up, and whatever.
Of course. Yes,
So,
that is absolutely true. Absolutely true. 100% I agree with you, JC.
I mean,
I do.
in that case is completely different, but even in like the Koberger case, like there's other DNA, so that's messing it up. You know what I mean?
Yes,
so
I
there's
do.
It's not that there's other people being looked at, but there's other DNA, so there is other people.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But they just don't know who the DNA is, so they don't know the other people. That's the problem.
Right. The weirdest thing about this entire thing is finding Robert's own DNA within himself.
I know.
That blew my
crazy.
mind. Yes.
Yep.
And that's just wow. I don't know what the motive behind that was or what the plan is with that, but wow, that's all I can say. Crazy as hell, for sure. So, all right, I'm trying to find, I don't know why I can't get Critical's link to pop up here for me so I can pull this up for you guys. Critical Minds has a case that he's been working on. It's going to be featured on Nancy Grace tonight. And I'd like to show you the short on it real quick here. And of course, put the link in here that it's not working for me. Well, that again ties into, yes, it does too. That's another thing, SRB, with all the weird sex toys and all the other weird things that Dylan had. It does, and it could. You are absolutely right. I agree with Don't Dox Me. I'm glad to hear that Kathy's doing well and she got through that okay and has moved on in her life. That's a wonderful wonderful thing to hear.
Yes.
Considering how horrifying that would be to find that out, you know, and have to deal with that. So,
yeah. Oh, and at the funeral, so there was like Kathy had like, you know, like was standing there and, you know, a line of people were coming to give condolences and stuff.
right.
And I guess Joe at the funeral formed his own line.
Really?
Yeah. Formed his
That
own line.
that
Like,
is that's very strange.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. But Joe just like stood up just like he was a family member and people started going to him. Yeah.
That's so strange. Kathy was Robert's wife, SRB.
Yes.
She was Robert's wife. Okay, guys, hold on one moment here. I really don't know why. I had this link here and I went to use it and I can't find it now. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry, Critical. I'm trying to get this up and don't mind me, JC.
But hey, I'm gonna jump down though. I gotta get ready for work.
Oh yeah. Thank you
Just
so much
wanted
for your
to-
insight. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining us today. It's great. Glad that you could be here for this since you know so much about it. I appreciate you.
Yes, and I'll actually be covering this one like right before CrimeCon because he's like one of my this is like one of my most interesting cases ever.
Yeah.
So right before CrimeCon, I'll cover it on my channel.
Absolutely. We'll be there. Sounds
All
like a
right.
plan.
Have
Thank
a
you,
good
dear.
day.
You
Bye
too.
bye.
Bye-bye. Does anybody have Critical Minds link? Anybody? No, I mean, seriously, I don't mind playing it. I can't get the link to come up though. And I'm subscribed to your channel, so I don't understand why it's not working for me. This is weird. Thank you again, JC. I'm siding with Mike as he may have meant to steal again, had a key. Then Joe came down to see his brother harming Robert. I think the Threes Company staged it, but either way, it hurt. That's a good point, Doxme. It is actually. There's the link. SRB, drop that in the Discord for me real quick, dear. Guys, please check out Criminal Minds channel, please, if you will. Please and thank you. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification bell, and of course, share it out and like it. Again, tune in to Nancy Grace tonight. I guess what Critical's been covering is going to be featured there tonight, and for sure, guys, go check it out. It's an interesting case. I know about it myself. Here we go. Thank you so much, SRB. One moment, everyone. I'm just going to run this for you guys. It's just a quick short, but I mean, definitely important. Here we go. All right. This is for Danielle Lopez. There we go, guys. It'll just run the same thing. It doesn't change. But there you go, Critical. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for putting things out to your channel as well. So, guys, go make sure to subscribe and check out Critical's channel as well.
On the part of this witness.
Sorry about that. And absolutely follow up with it. Yeah, we may cover it on our in-between days where we cover a little bit of everything. We may go over what Nancy puts out on it too. Because I like to cover things that she puts out as well as what Vinny covers too. So, and it's an ongoing case and it's very interesting as well. So there is that. So thank you, Critical, for that. And again, guys, please go check them out. Appreciate that very much. Mama Bear's still here, but she's doing something right now in the background with her kids. So, absolutely no worries, Critical. I think that's going to do it, though, guys. Those are our two cold cases for today. And they're both very strange and one more than the other, in my opinion, but both very weird, mysterious. So if anybody has any information on either one of these, by the way, of course, please contact authorities and let them know. Absolutely. But other than that, guys, just please make sure to hit the like button, share it out if you will. And make sure you jump on over to Mama Bear's link that's pinned in the chat. Hit the like button, subscribe, and share hers out as well, and hit that notification bell too. I think that'll do it. Unless Mama Bear, if you can hear me, do you have anything to add to this? No, thank you for being here, SRB. I appreciate the Blue Crew as always, doing everything you guys do. SRB, you've done amazing as always. And everybody else in the Blue Crew, thank you that are here. I appreciate you so very much. I don't know if I see anybody. I do believe that Doodle's live, guys. If you want to run over there, to support her, give me 1 second here. There is the link for that. And once I was just getting ready to say that, you're reading my mind, Docs me. If we could just one more time, guys, fill the chat with blue hearts in support of poor Dane and his family. Please do that, guys. And nothing but love and respect goes out to his family. Rest in peace, little guy. You will be missed very sadly. Prayers for his family. Thank you all so very much, as always, for what you guys did. Oh, yeah, I did want to do a meeting, but I'm going to wait till Doodle is done with her live. That way everybody can watch it. And after that, I'll throw it in the Discord to have a meeting, guys. So just watch for that for the mods. Thank you guys so very much. Much love to everybody, guys. Don't forget to love yourselves, love each other. Don't change nothing. You guys are the beautiful people. And we'll see you guys very soon. Bye-bye, guys.
Typing at the speed of light, hunting down the shadows, bringing wrongs to right, digging deep in the data, facts sharp as a knife. With every single story, he's fighting for a life. A voice for the voiceless, he won't stay quiet. Daniel's got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelations shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. Streaming loud and clear, cracking cases open, hearts filled with fear. These channels are beacon in a world gone wrong. He guides us through the chaos, a soldier so strong. The clicks and the likes, they follow his lead. With every new case, he plants a new seed. Sharing their stories, giving hope where it fades. Daniel's a warrior through the trials he waits. In a world of silence, he shouts out their names. Daniel's got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. From the shadows you rise, are streaming loud and clear. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. Got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim